wishing you the best of the holiday season from all of us at TSN.
World Junior Championship takes place at an intersection where many things must converge. Last year, there was the patience of Coach Perry Pern, the goaltending heroics of Manny Legacy, the leadership of veteran captain Martin Lapointe, and the solid play of future first-rounders Chris Pronger and Alexander Day. This year, the hope is there. The torch has been passed to Coach Joe Canale. There's the leadership of returning defenseman Brent Tully, the returning offensive touch of Martin Gendron, and the hope of first-rounders Brendan Comberry and Todd Harvey. Today, Canada continues its drive, looking for that intersection where a championship awaits.
TSN, Canada's leader in international hockey, is proud to present exclusive coverage of the 1994 World Junior Hockey Championship. Today's game from the Czech Republic is brought to you by Air Canada for all the world of hockey. By Imperial Oil and Esso Associates, proud to be a leading sponsor of youth hockey in Canada. And by Labatt Blue, honest and true, you bet it's blue.
TSN, Canada's only network for junior hockey, proudly presents the 1994 World Junior Hockey Championship. From the Czech Republic, it's game number 3, Canada and Russia. And come on inside to the ice arena in Fradek Mistek. Hello again, everybody. I'm Paul Romanek. It should be a great hockey game. It's been a great tournament for Canada the last few years, the World Junior Championship. Gold medalists 3 of the last 4 years, and they're off to a great start so far this year with wins in their first 2 games. Before we get to where we're at heading into this game, let's show you where we are in terms of geography. This is the city of Ostrava, not this morning, but in fact during the summer. A beautiful city in summer or winter. We are just down the road from Ostrava in Fradek Mistek, and there is where Ostrava is in relation to some other major cities and countries in Europe. So Canada very successful 3 of the last 4 years. A gold medal last year with this man, Perry Pern, back of the bench. Perry also an assistant during the other 2 gold medals for Canada. So from the bench to the booth, Perry, welcome aboard, and I'm wondering, being here, if you maybe wish you were behind the bench again.
No, the money's a lot better where I'm at now and a lot less pressure.
All right, now heading into this game for Canada, what kind of question mark should we look at?
Well, I think the focus in the Canadian dressing room up till now has been who's not here as opposed to who is here. And so I think the confidence level of the team is in question right now. And certainly tonight's game is going to be a good test of their confidence and their ability to step forward in this tournament.
All right, also with us in the booth, let's bring in TSN hockey analyst Bob McKenzie. And Bob, goaltending always a big question for Canada in this tournament.
Well, they always get great goaltending when they win the gold medal. And Perry touched on the confidence factor. The way a Canadian team gets confidence is to get great goaltending, especially early on against the Russians. So if there's a key for Canada today, it's Jamie Storr in net. If he comes up with a big game, especially in the first period, allowed the team to get some momentum and try to win this game.
Canada is off to a super start in the tournament. So too are a couple of other teams, Sweden and Finland. The U.S. not bad either. A win by Russia, well, that could jam things up all the more atop the standings. Coming up, it's Canada and Russia, Game 3 of the 1994 World Junior Championship, live on TSN.
You say yes, I say no. You say stop, and I say go, go, go. Oh no. You say goodbye, and I say hello.
hellos and goodbyes, Air Canada, in travel partnership with Air France, Continental, and United Airlines, is changing the way you see the world. This is the new Air Canada, for all the world.
The SO Tiger team talks pride.
Customer liked my smile.
I watched you guys work and we always had grin from ear to ear.
It's like being just a real family, and when you enjoy being together, you enjoy your customers more, you treat your customers better.
There's a great amount of care taken in everything that SO does.
We take what we do very seriously. We expect to be the best, and we work at it.
Customers number one.
Quality, friendly service. And I think that's what it all comes down to.
You're on your way with SO.
It was a gold medal for Canada last year. For the Russians, their worst finish ever. They finished in 6th place. They were 2-3-2, so they are on a mission this year, similar to the mission Canada was on last year, coming off of their worst finish ever. In goal, Yevgeny Rabchikov. He plays for Molat, and he is there in the middle. He's played both games so far for the team in the tournament and has looked sharp. He played not a bad game against Sweden, but more about that a little bit later on. Has a bit of an unusual style that we'll talk about. In goal for Canada, the man that Perry and Bob made reference to earlier, Jamie Storr, plays for the Owen Sound Platers in the Ontario Hockey League. He is eligible for the draft this year. He will go very high. In fact, he will likely be the highest goaltender taken. He is big, he is rangy, and he is right now, for all intents and purposes, the best goalie in the Ontario Hockey League and maybe the best junior age goalie in Canada. The referee is Jyrki Ingman, who is from Finland, and the linesman Reiho Ringbaum is from Finland, and Thomas Skoglund is from Sweden. And again, we are not at the main venue for this tournament. Ostrava is just down the road. We are in Fredrik Mistek. The games are actually split between the two buildings, but the bigger games are being played back in Ostrava. Canada obviously in red, the Russians in red, white, and blue, and we are underway. That's Harvey up there for Canada, number 10, circling around. He's out there with Gavey as well. Puck bounced in over the blue line. Brandon Witt back to pick it up for Canada, and play is called.
Well, Coach Joe Canali of the Beauport Harfang of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. He's been to one Memorial Cup with the Chicoutimi Saguenayens a few years back, but I think most importantly for this tournament, Perry, he was your assistant last year, and I think it's absolutely crucial to have that experience when you come to this tournament.
I think the experience means everything. The fact that you've been here and seen what it takes to win is very important in order to be successful.
The big line is out there for Russia right now. Breland with Harlamov and Bure on the wings. Witt for Canada moves it up along the boards. Carter gets it out to center. Flipped right back in. Brent Tully feathering it out to center. Tully, the captain of this team, veteran defenseman, plays for the Peterborough Petes in the OHL. Played with Chris Pronger back in the blue line for Canada last year and was rock solid. He was the first team All-Star. Oleg Turvedovsky back to pick up the puck for Russia. Highly rated prospect coming out of Russia. He will go in the first round of the NHL draft this year in all likelihood. Gets it across. Suligan trying to come out. Another player who will go in the first round in all likelihood. Bannister flips it in for Canada. Botterill up there to forecheck. This is Botterill along the boards. Dips it down into the corner. Marty Murray looking to get it out in front. He's tied up. Botterill, number 23, over there to help out. Number 28, Marty Murray, up for Canada, trying to apply some pressure. Smeletsky gets it outside the blue line, and it's fired right back in. We are just underway. First period action. We played 1:20. It is Canada and Russia, no score. Game 3 for each of these teams in the 1994 World Junior Championship.
And the first penalty of the game is being called, and it is going to Russia, giving Canada a good power play opportunity. And what happened down in the corner, referee Jyrki Ingman setting off Vadim Sherefyanov.
And Sherefyanov also eligible for the NHL draft this year. And he again will go high. Some good prospects on the team. And his prospects for taking a penalty were pretty good right there. He was nabbed. So Canada will go to work in the power play. That's Jamie Allison up there for Canada, knocking it up along the boards. Back at the line, Pekka couldn't keep it in. Sushnitsky down the boards trying to get around Pekka. Pekka is normally a forward, but he drops back and plays the point on the power play. Here comes Allison. Coming up there with Dubé and Gendron. Puck dumped in. Allison chugging down into the corner. He's got Dubé over in the far corner. Tried to fish it around to him. Couldn't get it to him. And the puck cleared down the ice. A minute and a half to go on the power play for Canada. Puck knocked down. Cheknetsky with a backhand shot just wide. Puck bouncing around. Ziatkov tried to pick up the rebound, but the puck cleared. 1:14 to go on the power play for Team Canada. 0-0. Here's Pekka. Gets it up ahead to Allison. He'll come in. Dubé breaking for the net. Gendron trying to get it over there to Dubé, and it just bounced away from him. Puck up along the board. Stajdahar back at the line. Couldn't keep it in. Kuzmishev up there for the Russians, giving Storr a little bit of a bump, but not much. Just a tap. 53 seconds to go on the power play for Canada. Carter. Puck cleared down into the corner now. Off the boards, Tully at the line, fishing it out of his skates, able to keep it in, but not much else. And it's cleared down the ice with 37 seconds to go in Canada's power play.
Canada having a tough time on this power play. They've almost been burned a couple of times on turnovers at the blue line.
And Gerard trying to sneak wide there was upended. Fans whistling for a penalty. And one will indeed be called, a tripping penalty against Russia, and Canada will have a two-man advantage for the next 23 seconds.
Harry, we saw the Russians in the game against Sweden where they got into penalty trouble. All 3 goals that were scored were on the power play, and right now the Russians seem to be running in trouble again.
Well, I think the key here for Canada is going to be to try and get the puck deep and get control. They weren't able to do it in the first part of the first penalty here, but now with a two-man advantage, if they can get control, certainly they can get something going.
The game plan on this power play is to try and get it back to the point, have a guy like Nick Stajdahar, who's got the big shot from the London Knights, get it back to him on the point, throw a lot of men at the net, try to create a lot of confusion, pick up the rebounds, tap one in.
Nick Stajdahar and Mike Pekka are back at the blue line. Dubé up taking the face-off. Allison on one of the wings. The puck comes back to Pekka. Across to Stajdahar. Dubé going towards the front of the net. Here's Pekka. Stajdahar, top of the point, shoots one. Knocked down, rebound at the side. Dubé gobbles it up. Looking in front, shoots. Allison looking for a rebound off the boards. It didn't get to him. Here's Pekka at the line. Works it across. Stajdahar right in front of the net. Knocked away. Loose puck clear to the corner. Canada with good pressure with the two-man advantage. That has now become a one-man advantage. Puck in front. Dubé just loose at the side. Couldn't take the feed. And the puck cleared down the ice with 1:25 to go on the man advantage for Canada. 0-0, but good pressure there for the Canadian team. And as Bob McKenzie mentioned it, they were keying on getting the puck back to Stajdahar at the line. Dubé trying to get it in front. That is choked off. Sushinsky just clears it up over the boards and out of play. 1:07 to go on the power play for Canada. We played 3:52 of the first period. No score. I'm Paul Romanek with Bob McKenzie and Perry Pern.
Well, some good scoring opportunities there, and Russian coach Yuri Moiseev doesn't look exactly like their standard coach. Not very many guys go behind the bench in a tracksuit. The gentleman wearing the shirt and tie is Mr. Sigurov. He's the assistant coach. He looks more like the coach. And some of the players, the Russian players, have been complaining about their coach, saying that he's not up to snuff. So there's a little dissension in the ranks on that Russian team.
Bouchard and Tully back at the blue line now for Canada. This is Bouchard rushing the puck. A couple of returning players. Gavey breaking towards the front of the net. That's Gavey, number 22, after it down in the corner. Aaron Gavey couldn't control it that time. Lead pass up ahead. Sushinsky almost took off. Here's Storr. And Sushinsky up there to hit Jamie Storr, and another penalty coming up. It'll be a roughing call against Russia, and that's Todd Harvey over right in the face of Maxim Sushinsky.
Well, Paul, the scouting report on the Russians is that they can be a little temperamental and undisciplined in their play. And in that case, that's exactly what happened. And this game plan is playing right into Canada's hands, but they've got to take advantage of these opportunities early.
Well, with a two-man advantage here after this hit on Jamie Storr, it will be important that Canada take advantage. I think Canada showed great discipline here not to retaliate and give themselves the opportunity to go back with a two-man advantage. And certainly if they don't score, it's going to set them back a little bit.
Well, Perry, I was just going to say, one of the real trademarks of your club last year was the way it was able to discipline itself in situations like this. Now, how much is that a part of the program right from day one?
I think it's a very big part of the program. It's something that we try to attack from a number of different directions. They've always tried to get former players to come and speak and express their experience with being disciplined and how much it meant in terms of moving towards medals in this championship.
And 3 elements you need to win a World Junior Championship of your Canadian team: goaltending, discipline, and team defense.
Well, the discipline was admirable there. In a normal junior hockey game back in Canada or the United States, almost guarantee you would have seen some kind of retaliation, if not a brawl. Canada with a 2-man advantage for the next 19 seconds. Here's Aaron Gavey, plays for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in the OHL. Gavey drops it back. Here's Pekka. He's got a good shot. Sneaks it into the side of the net. Girard scores! Canada with the power play goal. Girard tapping it in front and Todd Harvey burying it.
Good puck movement by the Canadian power play. Mike Pekka chose to move it down low instead of taking the shot from the point, and Girard a heads-up play. Watch the reaction of the goaltender. There's Pekka, lays it in for Girard. Russian defenseman not picking up Todd Harvey coming through the middle. You'll see very slow reaction time on the part of the Russian goaltender.
Just a great pass to the back door here, and Todd Harvey moved exactly to the position he needed to elude that defenseman on the backside, and it's an easy goal, empty net.
I was surprised at Ryabchikov's reaction. There's hardly any movement on his part at all. Most goaltenders will come sliding across the net. Not a particularly mobile goaltender. He's played well so far in this tournament, but there's some definite weaknesses there.
So Canada with the power play goal and the 2-man advantage takes the lead. Harvey gets it from Girard and Pekka, and Canada still on the man advantage for the next minute 10. We played 5:09 of the first period. Here's Stajdahar, top of the point, a rolling puck. He's able to control it and keep it in. Pekka dishes down low to Gendron. Back of the net for Allison. Gendron goes to the front of the net. Puck centered in front. There's Stajdahar right up there. Still with it. Shoots. That hit a leg. Stajdahar hooks the puck over along the boards. Canada will set up again. 50 seconds to go in the power play. Gendron trying to barge through, and he barges right through, dislodging the net, and we get a stoppage. Todd Harvey scoring at 4:59 for Canada on the power play. Harvey going to Dallas in the NHL draft, first rounder and a great hockey player.
And a tremendous leader, good goal-scoring ability. Scored 50 goals for the Detroit Junior Red Wings last year. The first player taken 2 years ago in the Ontario Hockey League draft, and shows some good puck sense right here to move to the net. That's what Canada has to do all night, is go hard to the net. And Rick Girard from the Swift Current Broncos set him up just beautifully.
Harvey now the leading scorer on Canada, and certainly, as you said, I think a key to his role here with Canada is his leadership. They saw that right from day one in camp.
He had an interesting camp. About the second day in, he was having some problems swallowing. Went to the dentist. They took a look at it. He had a wisdom tooth that had to be taken out. Fortunately for him, it wasn't impacted, and he was back in the ice that night. Gavey was there going to the net looking for a rebound, but Rabchikov hanging on to it. Canada with 25 seconds to go on the power play. Harvey and Gavey breaking down there. Harvey is an assistant captain and a leader with this team, but that is the man there, Brent Tully, who you almost knew would be wearing the C from day one of camp.
Oh, extremely well respected by his teammates. Had a very difficult year with injuries. Had an emergency appendectomy earlier this season. When they were doing that, they realized he also had a hernia. So as he said, he got the double whammy, and there was some question as to whether he'd be physically fit for this event. But he has been, and very well respected, as you would know from last year's team, Perry.
Well, he was outstanding with us last year in terms of his performance in this tournament, and I think significant of how the team looks at him. I think he appeared on every ballot for captain assistance.
Off the draw, puck bounced in. Rabchikov to save, trying to poke it loose. That's Girard down there jamming at it for Canada. Harvey's up there too, but the Russians able to control. Polygayev. And Suligan will now just flip it down the ice. 7 seconds to go on the power play for Canada. This is Drew Bannister. Up at center. Girard cuts in. Gavey going for the net, and offside is called on Team Canada. Canada leading 1-0. We'll be back after this.
Well, up here, the blues are everywhere. Well, you know, late at night in bars, sharing the blues with lots of people just seems natural.
Like all great blues, ours have a quality that comes from the heart of the country.
You know, you can't stay home all the time.
Off the face-off, Gendra pumping it in for Canada. That is grabbed and held. I'm Paul Romanek at the Ice Arena in Fradek Mistek in the Czech Republic, along with Bob McKenzie and former Canadian coach Perry Pern, gold medal coach last year. Perry, you might want to tell the folks what you're up to this year. A lot of people don't know.
I'm coaching in Switzerland, Ambri-Piotta, a little mountain village of 400 that has an 8,000 seat arena, and we cater to the needs of the Italian public in a whole valley.
Enjoyable experience?
It's been terrific.
Well, terrific, a good word to describe Canada's start in this game. Here's Allison, tried to get it in front to Dubé. Canada leading 1-0, has spent most of the first period on the power play against a very undisciplined Russian team. What a role reversal from the last time these two teams met on Czech soil. And I refer to the infamous Piashtani brawl back in 1987. More on that a little bit later. Harlamov knocked to the ice, puck pops loose. And the Russians, who have yet to get a decent scoring chance, will try to mount one now. Here comes Breland to the outside, a rising shot. Storr seemed to fight the puck there, but he was able to knock it away. Storr leaving it there for Telly. Bure trying to get control. The big unit out there for the Russians, and as I say that, lines are changed up. Zurkovsky slides it all the way back. Svetkov firing it up the middle now. Sherifianov back of the net, looking in front. Severukin is parked just off in the slot. Sherifianov working back to the goal. Smolenski up there as well. Puck cleared out. Severukin taps it back. Podligaya, number 14 for Russia with the puck now. A couple of men in motion, about 3 men in motion. Botterill up there for Canada, knocks it loose, and play is called. And a high sticking penalty coming up against Canada's Jason Botterill.
Botterill getting more ice time in this game, and actually, it was Botterill that was, oh, there we go. The Russian thought he was going to the penalty box. Botterill thought he was too, but now big Jason Botterill, a freshman from the University of Michigan, goes to the penalty box, and he was odd man out in the configuration. He dressed but didn't play a lot so far in the tournament, but they like his size and aggressiveness, and you'll see some of it right there. And on that hit, he gets his stick up, but looks like he takes the worst of it on that exchange, and that's why he thought the Russian defenseman was going to the penalty box.
Well, I think the referee had to be looking for a Canadian penalty, and there it was.
It's fair to say if you're back at the bench, you're just waiting for the other foot to drop in terms of even up penalties?
In international hockey, I think, yes, that's the norm.
So the Russians on the power play, trailing by a score of 1-0. Canada got its goal on the power play. Turbidovsky slides it up. Puck fired up and wide. Svetkov knifing it down into the corner. Favorico after it. Turbidovsky back at the line, moves across, shoots, low shot, just wide. Storr may have gotten a piece of that. And now Canada able to break out. Puck just feathered down the ice by Rick Girard. And both teams will make changes with 1:20 to go on the power play for Russia. Canada leading 1-0. We played 8:49 in the first period. Game 3 for both of these teams at this 1994 World Junior Championship. Here comes Breland, drops it back for Harlamov. Harlamov getting outside on Tully. Takes the scenic route around the back of the net. Breland is parked in front. Top of the point now. Stachikov getting out in front of the net. Here's Harlamov looking for it. Harlamov trying to get it towards the front. Harlamov, Breland, and Bure, the big triumvirate for the Russians. And Bure just comes over the boards, and he'll jump right into the play. Here's Harlamov taking a look for Bure. They crisscross just outside the line. Suligan comes in, drops it back. Here's Breland. Breland tried to center it in front there for Bure, but it's broken up And Aaron Gavey will just dump it down the ice for Canada with 27 seconds to go on the man advantage for Russia.
A lot of disorganization on this power play by the Russians. They just don't look to be very smooth. Everything from their line changes to their puck control.
Zavarukin comes in, shoots it in towards the net. Storer out there to gobble it up, and he will clear the puck down the ice.
Good job by the Canadians on the penalty kill.
And the Russians looking a little bit disorganized, as they did the other night in the game I saw them play against Sweden when they were on the power play. Smelitsky coming up to the line, knocked away from him, teams back at even strength. Badera out of the box and into the play. Clears the puck in for Canada. Podligayev works it across. Turkovsky getting it up at center. Zavarukin streaks in over the blue line. Zavarukin with Smelinski. Tried to get it to him, but it's cleared outside the line. And play is called. Offside is called on Russia. We've played 10:26 of the first period. Canada leads.
Tired of getting gifts you can't use? Stock up on holiday packs of Pepsi products and save over $100 on stuff you can. Have fun, be merry, party with Pepsi.
Puck just bouncing down to the corner in the Russian zone with play just back underway. Canada leading 1-0. And we've just passed the halfway point of this first period. I'm Paul Romanuk, along with Bob McKenzie and former Team Canada coach Perry Pern at the Ice Arena in Frýdek Místek in the Czech Republic, home of this year's World Junior Championship. Curtis Bowen given a bounce there, and the Russians able to take control. Stajdahar fires a bullet right along the ice, and that's kicked away. Rapchikov with a nice stop. Stajdahar's got a good shot. Here's Pekka. Try to center it in front, and play is called. And the faceoff will be moved outside the blue line.
I think the call there is a player in the goal crease.
And resulting in the instant whistle. And the draw will come back out.
Well, there's been some good contact in this game, most of it initiated by Canada, but just recently the Russians have started to come to the fore a little bit on that. Big Oleg Tverdovsky, number 10, when the Russian defense lays into Curtis Bowen of the Ottawa 67s. Good collision just inside the blue line. Bowen makes his way down, and you'll see Tverdovsky with the big hit. Tverdovsky, the apple of many scouts' eyes here. Many think he'll be a top 3 pick in the 1994 NHL entry draft.
And Curtis Bowen, the apple of the Detroit Red Wings' eye. They drafted him in 1992. Bowen, a great character player. It's one of the big reasons he made the team. There's Harvey in front trying to knock it down. Puck batted away out of midair by Rapchikov. And talk about character, Harvey would go into that category as well. A real character player. Harvey dumps it in and dumps it out, actually, as that floats up over the glass and into some empty seats. We played 11:40 of the first period, and Canada leading 1-0. Todd Harvey, big draft pick for Dallas. Hasn't signed yet with Dallas, by the way. Still working on the deal.
It looks right now as though Team Canada would like to play strength against strength and have their number 1, their best line, Todd Harvey, out there against the Russians' big line, Sergei Brylin, Pavel Bure's younger brother, Valery, and Harlamov.
Remember at the draft when Todd Harvey's name was called out? He had the biggest cheering section there other than any Quebec drafted player. The draft was in Quebec City. He had about 100 people, family members and friends, who headed down to watch the big day.
Sheffield near Cambridge, Ontario. Todd's dad's here to see him play, and cheering section of 1.
No 100 here. It's a long bus ride. Canada up in this game 1-0. And discipline has really come into play. Dubé picks it up. Dubé cuts in front, dipping and diving, and then flipping that one just high and wide. The Russians have been undisciplined. Canada has played pretty disciplined hockey. Here's Allison stealing the puck. Bannister sneaking in from the point with Girard. Allison still trying to shake off the checker. Faberico is on him. Puck going towards the front of the net. Dubé now looking. He's got Girard with him. Tried to get it in front. The puck gets there. No Canadian player attached. And Yevgeny Rapchikov just holding on to it.
And there's a slashing penalty coming up. Yannick Dubé, Jason Allison doing good work in front of the net. Turkovsky, the big Russian defenseman, number 6, laid the lumber. Seemed like an innocent enough play, but sometimes the innocent plays in international hockey result in a penalty. Canadians were trying to cycle the puck down low. Dubé with it there. You'll see just turn the stick over and just tap them. Picked up a slashing penalty for that, and it doesn't seem fair.
Well, certainly this is working into Canada's game plan. They wanted to cycle the puck low, force the Russians into some defensive zone coverage, and maybe force them to take some penalties, and it's working.
Well, no matter what you want to say about the refereeing in this game, I'll hazard a guess that it will be much better than the refereeing was in the game the last time these two teams played, Canada and Russia, on Czech soil. That, of course, was 1987, the World Junior Championship. The game was in Piešťany, Czechoslovakia at the time. The lights went out, and the brawl she was on.
Without the lights, the party was over.
It was a Norwegian referee, as I recall. Here's Pekka, shoots it in, big stop, and the rebound there for Gerard, but the net dislodged, and play is stopped.
Well, Gerard was all ready to fire that puck into the net when Todd Harvey beat him to it. That is, Todd Harvey beat him into the net, knocking it off the moorings. Canadian game plan again is to try and get as much traffic around Ryabchikov as possible and take those shots from the blue line, feed it in front of the net.
And it's working well. Ryabchikov gives up a lot of rebounds, and if Harvey had not gone into the net, been a great scoring chance here for Gerard.
See very clearly Harvey was knocked right into the net there.
Ryabchikov, very unusual the way he angles his feet, kind of tilts them in. Perry, you were pointing that out during the warm-up. We'll talk about that in a few moments, but a style that limits his mobility sideways. Here's Gavey in front, waiting, and he waited a little bit too long. Gavey was sneaking in and then had the puck poked off his stick by Ilya Stechenkov as he waited just a little bit too long for that perfect shot. 1:22 to go on the power play. Pekka up to the line. Has his pocket pick there. Puck down into the corner. Canada working on the power play. Pekka up to Gavey. And lots of heavy traffic in front. Gavey goes in there to join the traffic. Top of the point. Pekka gets it up. Gerard with a bullet. And Ryabchikov didn't even see it, but made a nice stop as he was square to the shooter. Here's Gerard. Gerard looking down low. He's got Gavey, gives it to him. Gavey circling out, back to Pekka. Shoots, that is blocked at the defense, and Breland able to chip it out. And now the Russians trying to get away. Izvestia drops it for Breland. Breland still in front. Izvestia couldn't quite get to it as Breland feathered it out. Here's Gendron breaking up there with Dubé. Gendron all the way across to Dubé. Bouchard back there at the line. Breland breaks it up to Harlamov. He's got good speed. Harlamov to the outside, right in there. Puck knocked away by Storr and cleared to the corner. Harlamov just turned it on. Got to the outside of Tully. Good scoring chance, shorthanded for the Russians. 7 seconds to go in the power play for Canada. Bouchard up to center, hits the line. Dumping it down, Dubé churning up there after it. Stechenkov gets there first but couldn't clear it. The team's back at even strength. We played 14-24 of the first period. Canada is up 1-0. Allison couldn't keep it in. Harlamov getting it up ahead. Suligan just dumps it outside the line. And here's Bannister, and play is called. And a penalty coming up. Too many men in the ice for Canada. We'll be back.
The SO Tiger team talks the details.
I think it's the little extra details that separate us from the other gas stations.
It's the small things like talking to the customer, using their name if you can.
Make sure you always have good eye contact.
One of the things that they teach us to do is if you're checking the oil, when you close the hood, then just take a clean towel and just wipe it off.
The service is number one, and then the details just top it off.
It's the little things that make us special.
You're on your way with SO.
The 1994 World Junior Hockey Championships on TSN is brought to you in part by Pepsi. Pepsi reminds you to be young, have fun, drink Pepsi.
Canada is leading this game by a score of 1-0, but Russia going to work in the power play. Canada with a sloppy change, and we're called for too many men in the ice. 5 minutes to go in the first period. I'm Paul Romanuk, along with Bob McKenzie and former Team Canada coach Perry Pern. here in Frýdek Místek in the Czech Republic. Great to have you with us. Best of the season to you. Hope you had a great Christmas. Looking ahead to a great New Year. Puck moved in towards the front of the net. Smelnitsky just missed it. Zvetkov back at the line, able to keep it in. Russians on the power play. Sharapyanov down low. Try to get it back out to Zvetkov at the blue line. Zavarukhin trying to knock it loose. Number 11 for the Russians. This is Zavarukhin. Zvetkov works it across. Zavarukhin now. Sharp angle. Tried to tuck it in front there. Cleared away. Witt keeping the front of that net fairly clear. Perry, it certainly doesn't look as though part of the Russian power play involves parking somebody right in the slot the way the Canadian one does.
No, they like to work it around the outside, and they're always looking for the back door.
And so far, Canada has kept the back door and all doors, for that matter, closed in terms of Russian goals in this game.
All European teams have a propensity for not shooting the puck, especially on power plays, trying to get that perfect shot. This Russian team only had 8 shots against the Swedes in their 3-0 loss.
Suligan gets it up ahead. Sashenkov comes in, drops it off along the boards. Barbarico going for the front of the net. Suligan back at the point. Barbarico back of the net. Looking in front. Sashenkov at the line. Shoots. That is blocked. And another penalty coming up to Canada. And Russia will have a 2-man advantage for 11 seconds. And we'll see how this gets sorted out.
Going to the penalty box is Todd Harvey. Going to the bench. Very injured, Sushinsky.
Well, there's Harvey in the box, and here is why.
Harvey steps down and catches somebody across the arm with a stick.
Went down like he'd been shot. No question it was a penalty. It wasn't a particularly hard poke.
Well, we talked earlier about the even-up factor. Canada had a 2-man advantage earlier in the hockey game, so it stands to reason that Russia would find itself with a 2-man advantage.
Although that said, it was a penalty.
Oh, no, absolutely. Well, Canada's 2-man advantage is a little fishy as well. With a questionable slashing call. Barbarico trying to pump it through towards the front of the net. Harlamov is out there. Harlamov just getting set to tee it up, and Pekka was out there to bump him. Russia now with a 1-man advantage for the next minute 39. Breland is parked in front, just off the crease, although not making any effort at all to crowd in there. Harlamov moves in as well. Breland after the puck, number 13 for Russia, back of the net. Harlamov there to help out. Harlamov knocked to the ice. Breland gets it back to the point. Stashenkov works it in. Stashenkov shoots. And that is partially blocked. Puck bouncing to the corner. 1:08 to go on the power play for Russia as they continue to control and work it around. Here's Bure now. Shoots one. That hit a leg as Bure tiptoed right to the front of the net. Bure again. Waits. Shoots. Had a bead on the short side, but Storr took it away. Stashenkov, top of the point. Drops it off. Breland. Stashenkov steps up. Shoots. Storr the save and a pile-up. Pekka and Storr and the puck underneath, and we'll get a stoppage with 45 seconds still to go on the power play for Russia. I tell you though, this triumvirate of Breland, Harlamov, and Bure really work it around.
Geez, I didn't know Valerie Bure was a Russian. Plays for the Spokane Chiefs in the Western Hockey League. Montreal Canadian, top prospect. You know what an outstanding prospect he is. Pavel Bure's younger brother. He does a good job of coming out from the corner, and he has a propensity for not shooting the puck. He gets one away here, but it never makes it through the netminder Jamie Storr. But great speed and great skill on that line, number 1 line for the Russians.
Canadians have done a great job of picking up men in front, letting Storr make the save, and not having to face the second shot on the rebound.
Storr has looked solid when called upon, with the possible exception of the first shot he faced, one that just kind of floated in and appeared to handcuff him. He batted it away with his blocker and has looked very confident ever since. Zvetkov with a shot. That's knocked down on the way in. And Turvedovsky lunging, but wasn't able to keep it in. Offside called on Russia. And Brentelli inquired where the faceoff's going to go, just outside the line. They'll come over and line up for it with 30 seconds to go on the power play still for Russia.
Well, Brent Tully, one of 3 Vancouver Canuck prospects. Probably pretty much a certainty to one-day play for the Canucks. He There's also Mike Pekka, Rick Girard, two others on this team that are likely to be future Canucks.
Tully was overshadowed a little bit last year. He was the defensive partner both in junior with the Peterborough Petes and on the national junior team of Chris Pronger. Puck stolen now. Here's Marty Murray right in, shoots, big stop by Rabchikov. Murray, lightning quick, picked the pocket, walked in, and Rabchikov with a nice stop. And Storr will knock it away. Loose puck is cleared out by Murray. And icing is called on Canada. Marty Murray got them out of their seats with a great scoring chance.
This year, with your assists, we can hit our targets and net our goals. The money raised by your United Way stays in your community to help people who need help most.
The United Way, Montreal Canadiens, and all my colleagues would like to thank you for your support.
This year, please give all you can give.
Marty Murray with a great scoring chance just before Canada was called for icing. Murray stealing the puck and cutting right in. And then he went back the other way, came back and cleared the puck from in front of Jamie Storr. Storr grabbing that one. High shot fired in by Dmitry Podlegayev.
There's good anticipation by the minute of Brandon Wheat King, Marty Murray, and again, good anticipation by Owen Sound Plater goaltender Jamie Storr. Storr's a big, rangy guy, very confident, a lot of international experience with the CIHF's program of excellence. The Under-17 World Championship and the Under-18 Phoenix Cup.
And it was a big thrill for him to play in the Phoenix Cup in Japan. His mother is of Japanese descent. And Jamie Storr, never been there before, went over, had a chance to play in a great tournament in front of a lot of Japanese relatives. Here's Dubé. Tried to fire it in the short side. Allison there will pick it up. Dubé buzzing around in front. Allison back to the line. Puck tucked around back of the goal. Dubé right back there after it. Getting it in front. Girard was spun around.
This is TSN. Satellite trouble is temporary. Please stand by.
The problem with using your local phone company for overseas calls is the out-of-reach rates that go with them. Fortunately, you now have a choice. Unitel Overseas, the new calling plan that can shrink the world by 28%. We'll guarantee you 28% savings on the overseas number you call most often. Whether it's in France, Italy, Hong Kong, or any one of 120 other planned countries. That's 28% savings versus your local phone company. Anytime, day or night. Call now to find out how you can also earn a free month of overseas calls. That's up to $500 in calls for absolutely nothing. So you can stick with your local phone company's out-of-reach rates, or you can call 1-800-305-3834 and ask about Unitel Overseas. With guaranteed savings and a free month, what in the world are you waiting for?
Get ready to crank up the heat. TSN brings you a night of high-speed thrills with Rolling Thunder. Get into the fast lane and out to the world's hottest races, fastest tracks, and grueling off-roads. Crank it up with Rolling Thunder Night, Wednesday on Real TV TSN. TSN delivers the biggest hits from the hardwood at the Hiram Walker's Special Old Pins game. Good. Canada's top bowlers will be wearing their lane faces as they compete for $90,000 in prize money. You can't afford to miss it. The Hiram Walker's Special Old Pins game. New Year's Eve, bring out the old and roll in the new with the men's 5-pin competition. Celebrate it on Real TV TSN.
Over a nice little flip. Linden goes in and picks the upper corner. It's 2-0. Make a nice
ball below the 500 mark. And about to be 0-4 on this road trip. Here's Linden breaking for the net. Comes in there, shoots and scores! Trevor Linden turned on the 10th on right wing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our TSN Control Center. I'm Jim Van Horn. Unfortunately, we are experiencing technical difficulties from Ostrava in the Czech Republic. We have lost our satellite feed to the World Junior Hockey Championships, where the game between Canada and the Russians is underway. The first period is now over. Canada with a 1-0 lead. We are working to restore the satellite. In the meantime, let's take you to some alternate programming and a feature on Danny Grant. We'll resume as soon as we can.
His NHL career was spent in such big cities as Montreal, Minneapolis, Detroit, and Los Angeles. But for Danny Grant and his wife Linda, home will always be in New Brunswick.
Basically, I'm a Maritimer and I'm a New Brunswicker, and my family's here and my wife's Linda's family's here, and I like some room and I like the outdoors, outdoor life that we have in New Brunswick, and I like the people.
His NHL career started with the Montreal Canadiens in 1967-68. They won the Stanley Cup that year, but Grant played just 22 games. 1968 saw expansion, and the Habs lent Grant to the upstart Minnesota North Stars. And it's there that he finally proved himself, winning the Calder Trophy as the NHL's Rookie of the Year. The Canadiens wanted him back, but the North Stars wouldn't let him go. They eventually did. 1974, they dealt him to the Red Wings, and Grant turned the 74-75 season into a 50-goal year.
Well, it's, at the time, it was, you know, an accomplishment. I was pretty well recognized as a goal scorer, and I had averaged 30 to 35 goals a year playing with the North Stars, and then when I joined Detroit, a combination of a couple of things. Detroit, we had a very, very good offensive hockey club. Not very good defensively, but very good offensively, and also the fact that I did play with Marcel Dion in that game.
Today, Danny works with the New Brunswick provincial government in their sports and recreation department. The job is tailor-made for him because he loves sports and he loves kids. Now, Danny didn't play in the era of million-dollar contracts, but he can put it in perspective.
When we were playing in the 70s, late 60s and the 70s, the money that we made was a heck of a lot more than the money that was made in the early 60s and late 50s from players. And a lot of those players were probably a little bit envious of you know, the money that we were making. And I think now we're a little bit envious of the money that the guys now are making.
I had a really lousy day. How about you?
You had a lousy day. Wait till you hear what I went through.
Families need to talk. It's never too soon. It's never too late.
Win or lose, rise and fall, joy and sorrow, you really gave it all. Real laughter, real tears, share the spirit of the season.
The most exciting up-and-coming open-wheel drivers showcase their talent through the streets of Halifax at the Moosehead Grand Prix. The Players Limited Toyota Atlantic Series Tuesday, right here on Real TV, TSN.
Don Cherry's Grapevine, you're gonna love it.
Tuesday night, Don welcomes Paul DiPietro of the Montreal Canadiens to the Grapevine.
Right here on TSN.
Welcome back to our TSN Control Center. We're still experiencing satellite problems from the World Junior Hockey Championships in the Czech Republic. Canada is leading the Russians by a score of 1-0 after the first period of play. They are now into the first intermission. Sheldon Ferguson is one of the main ingredients of putting together Canada's national junior team. He is their chief scout and really has had his work cut out for him. Let's take a look at Sheldon Ferguson.
It may seem like a lonely job, traveling around the country, scouting hundreds of junior hockey games, but Sheldon Ferguson is no ordinary scout because it is his responsibility to scout players for the Canadian junior team, and it's a job that he takes very personally.
Yeah, it sure is, and it's probably something that maybe I'm working on. My bosses, Mr. Costello and Mr. Nicholson, both are always on me all the time. Sheldon, don't take it so personally. I feel a tremendous amount of responsibility here, and it being my job to bring the 32 players to camp for the coaches to pick 22 and to go on to play in the tournament.
Ferguson's first experience as head scout was a difficult one. It was the 1991 championships in Füssen, Germany, the year Canada finished a disappointing 6th.
Füssen is a memory that I will never forget. But it certainly isn't a bad memory. It's I look at it as a learning experience, and I like to think that we brought a lot from Füssen.
Even at the junior level, there are political pressures when it comes to selecting players. It's a part of the job that Ferguson has learned to live with.
At this level, at the under 20 level, I don't hear from the parents that often. Usually we're talking with the elite hockey players across Canada, and most of these players have been drafted and have agents. And I am always getting comments or calls or faxes from agents pushing their players. Once in a while I'll hear from general managers, once in a while from coaches. But I think that that's very, very normal. I probably don't have a thick skin. We talk about the sensitivity of it again, but you just can't please everyone. And I think that's the world of sports. We have a saying that if you try to please everyone, nobody's pleased. So, please yourself, and at least you're pleased.
Ferguson had to be pleased with the gold medal performance of last year's team, and hopefully his talents as a scout will be rewarded again this year.
I feel, as we talked about, a real responsibility to the coaches to try to bring them the best players and to bring together the best character players to put together a real team, because that's what ultimately wins for us in the end.
Some cracked windshields have to be replaced. Others can be repaired. At Speedy Auto Glass, they do both. And either way, it's guaranteed. Don't take a chance. Take it to Speedy.
Speedy Auto Glass, at Speedy we can.
We're in a garbage crisis. One reason McCain chose to pack their juices in these aseptic boxes rather than non-refillable glass bottles. 1 liter aseptic packages use 88% less material than non-refillable glass, generate 85% less solid waste, consume 62% less energy. Plus, it would take 30 trucks to ship 1 million empty 1 liter glass bottles to their factories and just 2 to ship the equivalent in aseptic packaging.
McCain made their choice for the environment.
50 cents a day for a year buys a woman and her children a week's refuge, so she won't have to go home. For more, one way you can help the most, the United Way.
Satellite trouble is temporary. Please stand by.
The step is a bit slower, and he hasn't laced up a pair of skates in years. But if you look closely, you can tell he really hasn't changed that much. He's still the same old Sweeney Schreiner. He grew up playing hockey in Calgary before signing with the New York Americans in 1933. He toiled with the club for 5 years before his big break came, and he was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I was traded for 5 players at that time, but to leave a club that you were with for 5 years, you were a little dubious. But I'll tell you this, that I was glad that I went to Toronto, because I had my best years with Toronto. And of course, I had a good publicity agent in Foster Youth. He was the guy that made all us hockey players.
The year was 1942, and the Leafs were trailing Detroit in the Stanley Cup Final. Toronto had lost 3 straight before they mounted a comeback. Schreiner scored the tying goal, Pete Lanchel followed it up, then Sweeney scored again to give the Leafs the victory and the Stanley Cup. I
was very fortunate that I got 2 goals out of the 3 for us, so that made it even more pleasing.
Schreiner retired because of bad knees in 1946. He moved back to Calgary and became successful in the oil business.
My greatest thrill, I would have to say, was when I was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. You know, there's not too many players get elected to it, and being one of the older ones, well, it was quite a thrill.
Tired of getting gifts you can't use? Stock up on holiday packs of Pepsi products and save over $100 on stuff you can. Have fun, be merry, party with Pepsi.
If you've ever had acid indigestion, what I'm about to show you is surprising. Think of this rose as your stomach. Watch what happens when I dip it in concentrated acid. Serious stuff. Now, watch how Pepto-Bismol coats this rose and works to protect it. Don't suffer with indigestion. Get the effective coating action of Pepto-Bismol. Serious medicine for your stomach.
Welcome back to our TSN Control Center, everyone. I'm Jim Van Horn. We're still trying to reestablish contact with the Czech Republic, where the World Junior Hockey Championships are underway. Canada is leading Russia after the first period of play by a score of 1-0 in about 20 seconds. The second period is going to get underway. Can someone tell me, are we going to go back to the Czech Republic? We're going to go back to the game, to coverage, where Canada is leading the Russians by a score of 1-0. Three other games being played today in the World Juniors include the USA and Germany. The Czech Republic is taking on Switzerland, and Sweden and Finland. The Czech Republic is winless in the tournament so far, going 0-2, and their fans have really been letting them know that they are displeased with their performance so far. Canada is 2-0, but so far have not played stern competition. Germany and Czechoslovakia, they were winners handily in both of those games. They're playing the Russians today, which is always a very tight match, but so far Canada has had the better of the play, leading by a score of 1-0. Their lone goal coming on the power play. In the Spengler Cup action today, Davos defeated Canada by a score of 5-2. Canada finishes round-robin play with a 1-3 record, finishing 4th out of 5 teams. Let's go back to the Czech Republic.
Czech Republic, we apologize for our technical problems. We were having a problem at source getting the signal from here back to North America. We apologize for our technical problems, but Canada having no problems, leading by a score of 1-0, and you didn't miss any goals. That's the good news. Todd Harvey scoring for Canada at 4:59 on a 2-man advantage. Mike Pekka, and Rick Gerard coming up with the assists. And we are all set to start period number 2. I'm Paul Romanuk, along with Bob McKenzie and former Canadian coach Perry Pern. Teams will start this period at even strength. Again, we apologize for our technical problems that interrupted the first period, or our coverage of the first period. Play went on, but you didn't miss any goals. Here's Harvey. And he will bounce it down into Russian territory. Gavey trying to chase it down. Here's a pass up for Bure. Couldn't quite hook it in there with his skate. Tully back to pick it up for Canada. Tully will start out. Has Carter up to his left, elects to go to his right. Harvey couldn't knock the pass down, didn't get to him. Now Gavey comes in with Harvey, shoots. That is stopped. Rabchikov knocking it in behind the net. Carter over to Gavey. Gavey back for Carter. He has Harvey in front. Carter centers it. Harvey with a shot. He was partially tied up there by Breland. And Breland was able to tie him up enough to prevent a good shot. There's another chance. And Carter just missed that. Whipped right through it. Here comes Bure in over the line. Shoots. Storr kicks that away. Bure flying down into the corner. Valerie Bure for the Russians. Pushed off the puck there by Witt. Puck cleared out and tapped right back in. Russians making some player changes. This is Witt for Canada. Up off the boards. Marty Murray trying to get away. Murray and Carter bumping along the boards. The puck pops loose. Suligan gets it up ahead. Podligayev, nice moves, gets it up ahead. Sherevyanov down into the corner. Vladimir Sherevyanov up along the boards, rubbed out there by Witt. He and Witt jostling along the side. Suligan. This is Murray for Canada. Suligan back at the line for Russia, keeps it in. Witt couldn't control it. The puck will roll to Jamie Storr, and Storr hanging on to it. We played 1:55 in the second period. Canada leading 1-0.
Well, a very sound first period for Coach Joe Canale's team. Followed the game plan absolutely perfectly. They went to the net hard. They cycled the puck down low. They got some power play opportunities. They converted on one of those 4 opportunities to get the lead. And I'm sure, Perry, the coach will be very happy with that type of first period. A lot of confidence for the Canadian team.
I think there is, and I think the important thing there is the game plan is working, and when the team sees the game plan working, that pushes the confidence level up that much higher.
And one thing that was very evident in the first period, and we'll see if it shows up again here in the second. Here comes Allison, up for Canada. Tried to drop it back, that's broken up. Russians come across 3-on-2 now. Barbarico gets it up ahead. Krasnitsky with a shot, and that is grabbed and held by Storr. He will hang on to it.
Well, the Russians looking a lot more jump in this period than they had in the first period. A couple of good scoring opportunities already. Babariko comes down on a 3-on-2. As Jamie Storr comes up with the good glove save, he's able to follow that puck even though he was screened on that. And that's the great value of having a big stand-up goaltender with great reflexes like Jamie Storr. Keeps you in a game when things start to go the other way.
Jamie Storr has excelled in the big games. He's been the MVP of his team the last 3 playoffs he's been in. The last 2 with Owen Sound in the OHL, and the year before that with Brampton. He is a money goalie.
His save percentage with the Owen Sound Platers this year has hovered on give or take 5 percentage points at .930, which is absolutely phenomenal in any man's league, but in junior hockey where they tend to run the scores up, an incredible statistic.
Just to get back to a point I was starting earlier before a scoring chance for Canada, the Russians looking very uncohesive on their power play. And we'll see if that shows up again here in this second period. Yevgeny Rabchikov, the goaltender, hanging on to it. Rabchikov is not drafted. Plays for Molat back in the Russian league.
I'm thinking you're seeing a little different style here from the Russians now in terms of their forechecking. They've gone to a 1-2-2. And Brendan Convery just about broke up the middle on that last play, and the reason was a Canadian defense carried the puck up and it opened it up.
Convery out there, up front with Pekka. Puck comes out. Betts waits, shoots one through. Maxim Betts trying to tee it up for the front of the net. Stajduhar headmans it up, and here comes Canada. Trying to battle through is Curtis Bowen, and he battles his way to the boards. He's given a bump there by Svetkov and taken out of the play. Russians come back. Sheriff Yanov trying to dance his way around McCabe. Puck towards the front of the goal, and play is called. A holding penalty coming up against Brian McCabe of Canada. We'll be right back.
When you buy a specially marked 3-pack of Kodak Gold film and send us the special coupon, we'll send you a Kodak videotape free. No shipping or handling charges. No harm intended either.
Like a worn-down eraser, your car's brake wear indicator will make a squeaking sound when the brake pads wear out. So if your brakes are squeaking, your brake pads may need replacing. Trust your brakes to Midas.
Brian McCabe is off for holding, and Russia set to go to work on the power play. They had their big gunners out there, Breland, Bure, and Harlamov. Here's the penalty.
That's Sheriff Yanov, an outstanding prospect for this year's entry draft, another potential first-rounder. McCabe just put the collar on him and hauled him down.
Here's Tishenkov back at the line. Let's see how the Russians work the puck around. Tishenkov trying to fire it through there. That was blocked. Here's Harlamov. Breland looking for Harlamov. Pass was behind him, and it is flipped out of harm's way by Todd Harvey. Tishenkov back to pick it up. And by the way, just in case you were wondering, yes, Harlamov is the son of that Harlamov, the legendary Russian hockey player, Valery Harlamov.
The late, great Valery Harlamov.
1:20 to go on the power play for Russia. Canada leading by a score of 1-0 in a pivotal game 3 for both these teams. Up along the boards, Tishenkov, number 28, trying to drive it loose for the Russians. Here's Bure dipping over there to pick it up. Bure tight ropes along the line and gets it back. Puck fired in. Storr kicked that away. Suligan with a good wrist shot. And the puck cleared down the ice with 55 seconds to go on the man advantage for Russia. Canada making some quick changes on the fly. The Russians do likewise. Here comes Bure up to the line. Had his pocket picked there, and the puck cleared back down the ice with 43 seconds to go on the power play.
Canada's had great penalty killing so far in this tournament. Yannick Dubé and Rick Girard out there now doing a good job. And Girard is such a heady hockey player. He anticipates so well. Makes up for a little bit of a lack of speed with that great anticipation.
Alexei Chilakin moves it up. Sheriff Yanov comes in over the blue line, drops it back. Sheriff Yanov will go down to the corner now. Severukin is parked in front. Here's Sheriff Yanov off to the side of the net. In front of the net, tried to get it there to Severukin. Puck knocked away, up around the boards, but not out. Chilakin works it across. Podligayev shoots it in. Smelnitsky trying to get it in front. That's broken up. Sheelakin at the line, popped it up to Rick Girard. Teams back at even strength, and Girard tried to spring McCabe. Zavarukin with a shot. That's knocked down. Zavarukin in the corner, trying to get it in front. Smelnitsky battling his way back to the goal. Sheriff-Yanov parked in front, and the puck does not arrive on his stick. Girard back for Canada. Up there with McCabe, he will dish it in. And McCabe and a bunch of Canadians head to the bench. Coach Joe Canale getting in a change. Pekka squeezing his man along the boards. Tully taps it loose for Canada. Curtis Bowen leaving it there for Pekka, up to the line. Pekka up there with Bowen. Here's Convery looking in front, gets it down low. Pekka back of the net. Here's Bowen now. Drops it back for Pekka, but that is broken up. Faberico. Svetkov now for the Russians. Up along the boards. Bowen couldn't knock it loose, and the Russians will come out. Tverdovsky up to the line. Tverdovsky down into the corner now, looking for someone in front. He is mashed along the boards by Brendan Witt. Witt will dance after it and along the boards. Witt to the line. Suligan, good job to keep it in momentarily. Bowen battling away there for Canada along the wall. Svenitsky gets it in front. Storr knocked that away, and Pekka clears the rebound. Suligan clearing it back in. Bowen shoots it right back out. Canada with another line change. Good flurry of action here as the teams go back and forth a little bit. We haven't seen much of that in this game. Gendron trying to break loose towards the front of the net. And he's been very silent so far in this contest. Puck down in the corner. Sheriff-Yanov up after it. Number 18 for the Russians. Battled his way in front. Puck drilled on goal by Suligan. And Storr stands his ground. Holds on to it.
Tired of getting gifts you can't use? Stock up on holiday packs of Pepsi products and save over $100 on stuff you can. Have fun. Be merry. Party with Pepsi.
Welcome back to the Ice Arena in Frýdek Mistek in the Czech Republic. I'm Paul Romanek with Bob McKenzie and former Team Canada coach Perry Pern. TSN's exclusive coverage of the World Junior Hockey Championship. Canada and Russia. We're approaching the halfway point of the game. Canada leads by a score of 1-0, and here comes Canada now. Harvey in over the line with Gavey. Harvey to Gavey. Harvey up there poking at it again, but Rapchikov poked it away. Puck in along the boards. Bouchard keeps it in for Canada. Gavey centers it in front. Harvey was tied up, couldn't get his stick on that pass. Bouchard up to Anson Carter. Gavey couldn't get to it. Here's Harvey now, all alone along the boards. Not for long, he has company very quickly. Harvey gets it in front. Girard is out there. Here's Harvey, great effort, and he almost finished off. Great strength by Todd Harvey. Bure breaking back for Russia. And he just steps out of the way. Harvey took a run at him. Great shift for Todd Harvey. Here comes Breland. Wheels to the corner, centered it in front. Harlamov just flicked over top of that one. Teams open it up a little bit. We've played 8 minutes of this second period. 1-0 is the score. Canada leading. A power play goal in the first period from Todd Harvey, who's been Canada's best player in this game so far. Zavarukin in front. Smelnitsky there too. Lots of company for Jamie Storr, the Canadian goaltender. Bannister gets it up around the board. Smelnitsky lets it go to Svetkov at the line. Svetkov couldn't do much of a job of keeping it in. Puck just fired down the ice, and icing is called on Canada.
Well, a good shift, a very tiring shift for Todd Harvey. Battered around in front of the net, and a good scoring opportunity. Uses his strength to advantage in front of the net to try and get something by Ryabchikov. Right now, the Russians are using a lot of their outside speed to make life miserable for the defense on Team Canada, and Todd Harvey, of course, had that good chance back down at the other end.
I think Canada has to be careful here. They're changing the style of the game a little bit, opening it up, and that's playing into the Russians' hands. I think they want to play a little tighter defensively, get back to what they were doing in that first period.
the draw. Kondrashkin, back of the net. He's hauled down. Tried to get it in front there for the Russians. Allison after it for Canada. Up to Rick Girard. Girard in heavy traffic. Allison there to bash it up to the Russian line. Sergei Kondrashkin. This clears it back down into Canadian territory. Armstrong with his first shift of the hockey game. Back in his own end. This is Chris Armstrong. Plays for the Moose Jaw Warriors. Gets it up ahead to Allison. Dubé breaking in towards the net. Puck knocked away from him. Here's Dubé. Girard. Puck cleared in. Ryabchikov drops it off back of the net. Allison up there forechecking. Dubé up there as well. But the puck just carried out by Stashenkov. Stashenkov up to the line, tiptoeing his way through, and offside is called on the Russians. Nice rush, though, by Ilya Stashenkov. Next game for Canada is tomorrow. Canada against Finland, and Finland with Saku Koivu, Montreal Canadiens' first-round pick in the lineup, one of many players to watch for in that team. You can see it live starting at 11 o'clock Pacific time. That's 11 a.m., 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. Hope you can join us.
Finns are a definite medal threat this year. They scored a big victory over the home side Czech Republic team 7-3 just the other night, which didn't make the locals too happy, but the Finns looking very good. And as you say, perhaps the most exciting player in the tournament, Saku Koivu, the Montreal Canadiens draft pick.
There have been reports that he would not be here, that he would be playing with the club team at the Spengler Cup, but that is not the case. He is here. Here's Bowen. Back to the line. Bannister waits, shoots. He's stopped. Rebound in front, melting around. Almost went in. That was Brandon Convery right down in front of the net. And the puck is kept at bay by Yevgeny Ryabchikov.
Well, Drew Bannister of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds made a real heads-up play at the blue line. He wound up for the slap shot, faked it once, and the Russian defender flopped down in front of him, stepped around, and then took a shot. And as we talked about, the game plan early was to try and get the shots directed at the net. Lots of big rebounds. You'll see Bannister with a clear shot to the net, and Brandon Convery, just on reflex, chops that one right up over and hits the post, and then the puck almost goes back in behind Ryabchikov.
Well, the Russians lucky to be just one goal down right now, because that was a terrific chance, and the goalie was beaten. It was a crossbar that I think the puck hits and bounces back out.
And that is the kind of hockey scouts will tell you that Brandon Convery has to play if he wants to be an NHLer. That's the kind of hockey player the Toronto Maple Leafs drafted. Convery did not have a great camp with this team in Kitchener, the final selection camp. Puck up ahead, Harlamov shoots, just low and wide. A good burst of speed from Harlamov, working in tandem up there with his line mate Valerie Bure. Carter clears it in. Gavey flying up there. Bure trying to get it out. Harvey couldn't keep it in. Convery didn't have a great camp, but has started to come on over here, and that is what Team Canada coach Joe Canale was hoping Convery would do. He is so far responding to the challenge. Harvey along the boards will clear it in. Gavey up there after it. Grabs a hold of his man, Svetkov. Gavey with a hold of him. Trying to battle away. Gavey wins that battle. Tried to get it back for Bouchard, but Bure, nice anticipation to break that up. Bure, long shot, and Storr has a bit of trouble with that one. Harlamov up there as well. Russians on a player change, so Botterill has a bit of time. Works it up off the boards, gets it ahead. Here's Gendron breaking in. Botterill up there to join him. Puck poked away. Down into the corner now. That one whistled towards the net. Ryabchikov got a hold of that. Loose puck just fired wide. Rebound in front. Botterill is parked in front of the goal. Canada with some pressure. Gendron up there couldn't get his stick on it, and play is called. The Russian net comes off the pegs, but the best pressure of the period for Canada.
Great opportunities there for Martin Gendron. And then Jason Botterill thought he was going to have a good one, but he was absolutely leveled from behind by a Russian defender. Looked around for the penalty. Nothing there. And Coach Yuri Moiseyev not impressed right now with what's going on.
Well, certainly that's a terrific shift for Canada. 3 great chances to score here, and we never got the shot on goal.
There you see, Botterill went right through the crease and knocked the goalie Ryabchikov down. You'll see him get chopped down from behind. Waiting for the puck to come back out in front. There he goes down. And a good shift there. Martin Gendron buzzing all around. A couple of good opportunities, along with Marty Murray.
Perry, one of the big things this team has to do, you mentioned it earlier, is play disciplined hockey. Jason Botterill is here to be a physical hockey player. He took a penalty earlier, and right there he ran into the goaltender and was not called. And you wonder if maybe Botterill has to have the reins pulled back just a little bit.
Well, you certainly have to be careful. It's a one-goal game, and you don't want to give them a scoring chance on the power play.
Puck just tipped wide. Kondrashkin trying to get it loose. Baberico back of the net, looking in front. Centers it. Kondrashkin was there, and Kondrashkin is there in the corner with the puck now. Stajdahar pulls it away from him. Nick Stajdahar up ahead to Rick Girard, back for Canada. Comes to the line with Dubé. Here's Dubé. Shoots. A blast. Right on. Rebound. Allison couldn't finish off. Great chances for Canada. And Russia is called for icing.
Well, heady play by Rick Girard, came across the blue line. A nice drop pass for Dubé, and Dubé fired a rocket at Rabchikov. Rabchikov, I don't think, saw the first shot, but he had very quick reflexes on the second one with Jason Allison streaking in there.
Yeah, he did make a great save there, and again, Canada going hard to the net creates another good scoring chance.
You see there, that great reflex action right at the last second. Jason Allison couldn't get good wood on it.
Jamie Allison with a great chance. And to cop the cliche, love to have that one over again. Canada battling away. A couple of good chances in the last few moments, but here comes Maxim Betts back for Russia. He spun around. Drew Bannister back there to break it up for Canada. Curtis Bowen. Mike Pekka in over the line with Convery breaking towards the net. Convery seems to have come alive a little bit here in this second period. He's had a couple of good shifts. Be sure to listen up at the conclusion of this game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you today by Sony.
Experience the thrill of the chase as Sony's one-gun picture tube in breathtaking clarity lets you catch all the action. Sony Trinitron, the straightaway leader.
One goal in the game. Canada gets it on a two-man advantage in the first period. Todd Harvey scoring from Rick Girard and Mike Pekka. I'm Paul Romanuk along with Bob McKenzie and former Canadian junior coach Perry Pern here at the Ice Arena in Friedrich Mistek in the Czech Republic. Harvey getting it in for Canada. Carter broken up there. Suligan for the Russian, gets it up around the boards. Breland, Harlamov, and Bure out there for the Russians. That's the big triumvirate. Harlamov whistles one on goal. Storr kicks that away. Bure down into the corner. Carter knocks it away from him. Nikolai Suligan. Stashnikov. Otis clear the puck down the ice, and icing is called. There's a look at Alexander Harlamov, son of the late, great Valery Harlamov. And a very touching moment earlier this year, last month actually, November the 7th. The team, the Red Army team, now partially owned by the Pittsburgh Penguins, held a ceremony to honor some of the past great stars. Tickets, which normally go for 350 rubles, were selling for 20,000 rubles. They put 6,800 people in a building that holds 5,500, and the most touching moment of the night was when Alexander Harlamov skated to center ice to accept the former jersey of his father. There wasn't a dry eye in the house, I understand.
Great expectation level to live up to when your father's Valery Harlamov.
Storr getting a little handcuff there back of the net. Botterill will bash it off the boards and down the ice. Gendra hustling up there after it, but icing is called on Canada. As soon as the puck crosses the red line, icing is called. We'll be right back.
Analyze.
Pasteurized.
Conclusion.
Regular.
Chamber. Analyze.
Cold filtered. No added preservatives.
Conclusion.
Naturally clean, fresh tasting, real craft beer.
is where it's at.
Welcome back. Just to reiterate, it is the no-touch icing rule in international hockey. The puck goes down the ice. You don't have to touch it as you do in the NHL. It's as soon as it crosses the red line at the other end, icing is whistled. I know Perry Pern was grimacing a little bit when the whistle was blown. Not a big fan of the no-touch rule?
Well, it's not so much the no-touch rule. It's the fact that the linesmen here are so weak at calling the icing.
Here comes Rick Girard cutting in. To Dubé, right in front, rolls it in, and the Canadian players raising their arms. The red light did not go on, and what's going to happen here?
No goal. The referee didn't call it. He wasn't really in a position to call it. The goal judge didn't call it. He was in a position to call it. Now, the Canadian players went over to the referee. He just simply shrugged, looked at the goal judge. The goal judge shook his head no.
Jyrki Ingman from Finland is the referee, and the Canadian players thought it was in, but evidently Yevgeny Ryabchikov making the goal line stand.
Well, Dubé takes the first shot right there. We can't tell from that angle whether it's in or not, but it certainly looks as though both his pads were into the net. The suspicion is the puck was over the goal line.
Maybe a better look here. But maybe not.
We'll have one more. We got one more look at it here from behind. That's going to be the toughest one of all to be able to see because the goal line's completely obliterated. That's the best we're going to be able to do. Inconclusive if you were going to video replay, although I strongly suspect from the positioning of Ryabchikov's pads that both of them were in the net. The puck may have been a touch over the line, but again, we don't know for sure, so it is no goal.
When the play was finished there, the puck was clearly fished out of the back of the net, so my suspicion is that it was in, especially when you look at that last replay and see where the pads were.
Is that disconcerting to a team, or does the coach have to go out of his way to say, boys, forget it, put it behind you?
I think you do. I don't think it should be disconcerting. I think that Canada's been creating a lot of chances, and I think you just say, keep going to the net, boys, and more chances are going to come.
Here's Bannister. Shoots, scores! Carter! Anson Carter redirecting Drew Bannister's shot, and Canada leads 2-0.
Well, Anson Carter's a terrific athlete from Michigan State, native of Scarborough, Ontario. Drew Bannister gets this puck back at the blue line and does another nice job of directing it at the net, getting the puck into play in front of Ryabchikov. And Carter does a good job of just knocking it out of the air, redirecting it past him for the goal to make it 2-0.
I think a key here is how the face-off lined up and the way their defenseman left Carter all by himself in front of the net.
Good job of keeping it on the blue line by Bannister, and the Sioux Greyhound defenseman fires it. Good job by Carter, totally uncovered in front of the net. He's a streak scorer. They say he gets his goals in bunches. He had a 4-goal game this year when scouting coordinator Sheldon Ferguson was there to see him play. So keep an eye on him. He might be ready for a couple more today.
And here comes Canada right back. Murray breaking it on goal, and the net comes off. And again, the Canadian players raising their arms to celebrate a goal. It's going to be a bit of a habit here in the second period.
Jason Botterill thought that the goal had been scored. He put his arms up when, in fact, the only thing that went to the net was the goaltender, Ryabchikov. Jason Botterill put him there, going hard to the net. But it's got to be very encouraging for the Canadians. They're getting so many good scoring opportunities as we watch this one. Right there, Botterill thought he backhanded the puck under the goaltender. But a good play by Marty Murray, heads-up playmaking. Here we have one final look at the goal. Good job by Carter to skate in front. No chance for the goaltender, Ryabchikov.
No, great shot by Bannister. Carter in perfect position, all by himself in front, and it's in the back of the net.
And a penalty coming up. It is going to go against the Russians. So Canada on a bit of a roll. We'll see if they can keep rolling on the power play when we come back.
Tired of getting gifts you can't use? Stock up on holiday packs of Pepsi products and save over $100 on stuff you can. Have fun. Be merry. Party with Pepsi.
Maxim Svetkov, the captain of the Russian team, is in the penalty box. He is called for hooking, and Canada with a chance on the power play. 15:02 we have played in the second period. Pardon me, that was a high sticking call. 1:54 still to go in the power play for Canada.
This game right now reminds me of what we saw the other night with Russia and Sweden. A big momentum shift in the second period, and I think if Canada were to score in this power play, the Russians may die.
Storr will leave it there for Pekka. Again, Mike Pekka, normally a forward, a centerman, plays with Ottawa in the Ontario Hockey League, but he'll drop back and play the point on the power play. Pekka clears it up, and that's a two-line pass for Allison.
Well, I think Perry's right. I think this is a pivotal power play in what should really be a pivotal hockey game. Now, if Canada were to lose this hockey game, by no means are they out of the tournament, and by no means should we conclude Russia would be out of it if they lost. However, if you look at the Russians, they've lost to the Swedes already. If you lose to Canada, you're making life very difficult and asking for an awful lot of help to be still in gold medal contention. So what Canada wants to do, win this game, and you really cut down your margin for error.
Very few teams win a gold medal with 2 losses.
Here comes Stajdehar out for Canada. Stajdehar back at the line with Pekka, gets it up ahead to Girard, breaking in. Harvey's there looking for the rebound. Harvey scored on the power play for Canada back in the first period. He is up front with Girard and Gavey. Here's Pekka. Feathers it in. Aaron Gavey. Nobody to go to in front. Harvey up there to help out. Here's Girard. Back to Pekka. Harvey is parked in front. There's the pass to Pekka instead. Over to Stajdehar. Moves it in. Centered. A puck fired on goal by Girard, and Ryabchikov somehow kept it out. Pekka works in. Shoots. That's stopped. Here's Stajdehar. Shoots. That's kicked away. Another chance. Oh, baby, what a stop. Ryabchikov coming across to knock it out of midair. Stajdehar trying to keep the pressure on for Canada. Moves it in. Harvey's in front. That's kicked away. Stajdehar to Gavey. Girard lurking in the weeds back of the net. This is Harvey with it. To Gavey. Gavey waiting. Waiting still. Tried to get it in front to Girard. Couldn't get the shot. Penalized player back on. There's Pekka getting it in front. Rolling puck back to the goal. Girard up there dipping after it. Girard to Harvey. He swings at it. That's knocked away. Here's Gavey now. Puck along the boards. Canada trying to keep the pressure on. Teams back at even strength. And finally it comes out. Teams back at even strength, but great chances for Canada. Storr will hang on to it. We'll get a face-off down in Canadian territory. And Yevgeny Ryabchikov putting on a clinic there during that Canadian power play. He was great.
Well, tremendous pressure on the power play, and it kind of goes against what Canada had set out to do in the beginning, which was get shots from the point. But when you're getting quality shots from 5 feet out, well, you're going to get it, let you take it. And mostly the dealing was done from behind the net. And if it wasn't for Ryabchikov, there would have been a couple of goals scored there.
Well, there's 2 great saves and a goal post here in this flurry.
Tremendous save by Ryabchikov. Very acrobatic coming across the net.
That was the stop. Knocked out of midair with his elbow, it looked like. Here's Carter for Canada. Anson Carter, Canada's other goal scorer in this game. Todd Harvey. Tully. Suligan at the line. And he has all he can handle from Gendron. Penalty coming up to Canada. And it's going to go against Martin Gendron for holding as he got tangled up along the boards. So the Russians will get a chance in the power play. Even them up.
And they should finish out most of this period with the power play. 2 minutes and 8 seconds remaining. Martin Gendron going off for holding up against the boards.
a questionable call in my mind, given what he's let go earlier in the game. But certainly, I think with the pressure that Canada exerted on that last power play, you always look for European referees to give the even-up call.
You see right there, as soon as you take that one hand off the stick and put it up on his shoulder, you're always courting danger of getting a penalty for what would probably be an innocuous play in professional hockey.
Martin Gendra had a great game against Russia last year when Canada played them. He scored 2 goals. Canada defeated Russia 9-1. It was the largest margin of victory and the most goals ever scored by a Canadian team against a Russian or Soviet team at the World Junior Championship. Zavarukin. Sharavianov. Top of the points. Stashenkov tried to get a shot on goal, but Marty Murray there to tap it away. Murray has been diabolical penalty killing for Canada. Almost scored a shorthanded goal back in the first period. He looked good there, too. Sharavianov. Melnitsky trying to get it in front. Time ticking down in this second period. 1:05 to go in the power play still for the Russians, and puck just hopping over Nikolai Suligin's stick. Zavarukin. Barbarico couldn't knock it down. Kondrashkin down in the corner. Sushinsky up there to help out. Sushinsky. Zavarukin. To Sushinsky. Back to Zavarukin. Top of the point now. Suligin moves it up. Zavarukin. 45 seconds to go in the period. Sushinsky gets it back of the net. Kondrashkin couldn't get it in front. Puck kept in. Storr with the save. Nice shot by Svetkov. And the puck cleared by him and down the ice with 20 seconds to play in the period. And still 10 seconds to go on the power play for Russia. Canada leading 2-0. Harvey takes a swap at it. Puck knocked away from him. Barbarico in over the blue line. Kondrashkin up there with him, trying to bull his way through. He's hauled down. Puck at the side of the net. Barbarico trying to get it in front. And time runs out in the second period. The team's back at even strength. And things still uneven on the scoreboard with Canada leading 2-0. Well, coming up during our second intermission, we will have an update on all else that is going on in and around the world of sports. And we will also look back at Piastani, the last time Canada played Russia on Czech soil. Well, the lights went out and the brawl was on. Lots coming up during our second intermission. You're watching TSN's coverage of the World Junior Hockey Championship, live from the Czech Republic.
We express ourselves by creating.
arthritis was a life sentence. Because of the Arthritis Society, more Canadians are escaping the pain every day. I'm Maureen Forrester. Please give to give hope.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Van Horn. Welcome back to our TSN Control Center. We'll get you back to the World Junior Hockey Championships in just a minute. No, there is no satellite problems. This is a scheduled update, believe it or not. The NHL All-Star team in the East was rounded out today. Let's take a look at the final rosters now. Jaromir Jagr, Eric Lindros, and Alexander McGillney were already voted into the starting lineups by the fans. Added today from Ottawa, Senators leading scorer Bob Kudelski, Joe Sakic, who's having an outstanding year for the Quebec Nordiques, and Mark Recchi, another fine player for the Philadelphia Flyers. Also from the Rangers, Mark Messier, Adam Graves. The game is being played at Madison Square Garden. Pierre Turgeon from the Islanders has also been added. Adam Oates, leading scorer for the Bruins, has been added, along with Brian Bradley from the Tampa Bay Lightning and Jeff Sanderson from the Hartford Whalers, who is their leading scorer this year as well. Let's take a look at the defensemen now. Ray Bourque and Brian Leach were voted by the fans earlier. They were announced last week. Added to the blue line, Gary Galley, Al Iafredi, Larry Murphy, and Scott Stevens. The goaltenders include Patrick Waugh, who was voted by the fans as well. His mates will be Mike Richter and John Van Beesbroek. Richter, of course, went 20 games without a loss this year for the Rangers. John Van Beesbroek, a former Ranger playing in Florida, will be welcomed back by the crowd at Madison Square Garden. Busy night in games tonight in the NHL. 6 games being played. Some key matchups in the Central Division, including the Toronto Maple Leafs as their roadshow continues in Dallas against the Stars. The Leafs will be without Clark and Andrechuk, but Todd Gill and Nikolai Borshevsky are expected to skate for the Leafs tonight, and they need them back in the lineup. They have been decimated by injuries. Other action tonight. The Rangers are in St. Louis as the Blues look to keep pace with the Leafs in that Central Division. Chicago is in Winnipeg to take on the Jets. Winnipeg having all kinds of problems. Have called up goaltender Mike O'Neill from Moncton. Montreal is at Edmonton tonight. The New York Islanders are in Quebec. And Florida and Hartford. The Whalers having trouble this year, but the Panthers scoring their second straight shutouts on the road just the other night. Spengler hockey action today. The tournament is underway in Davos, Switzerland. Davos played host to Team Canada this afternoon and won by a score of 5-2. Canada finishes with a 1-3 record in the round-robin tournament. Will not make it through to the qualifying medal round. That is it for now. We'll get you back to the Czech Republic for more continuing coverage of the World Junior Hockey Championship. Canada leading Russia 2-0. Back with more hockey after this.
Instead of slamming your foot down on the brake pedal, squeeze and release the brake using just the force necessary. It will increase the life of your car's braking system and save you money down the road. Trust your brakes to Midas.
Get ready to crank up the heat. Get into the fast lane and out to the world's hottest races, fastest tracks and grueling off-roads. Crank it up with Rolling Thunder Night, Wednesday on Real TV, TSN.
First, there was McCain Pizza Pockets. Now there's
McCain Super Pockets. Taste of perfection.
Zesty Chicken Fiesta. Delicious Western style. Creamy egg and cheese.
McCain Super Pockets.
All with a crust that's baked, not fried. So there's no leaks, no mess.
McCain Super Pockets.
Super taste, super snacks.
I had a really lousy day. How about you?
You had a lousy day. Wait till you hear what I went through.
Families need to talk. It's never too soon. It's never too late.
Pass. Good a job in there to take it away for the Soviets. Up the boards, can't get it out. Slaney blasts one, scores!
Up by
Yellen. Fired to the wall, but not out. Here's a shot. Good! John Slaney!
Hi, I'm Brandon Conley from Kingston, Ontario. Watch us December 30th when we take on Team Finland right here on TSN.
Well, Canada is leading by a score of 2-0 as we look ahead to the third period, but before we look too far, we thought we would look back just a little bit. The last time these two teams, Russia and Canada, played on Czech soil was back in 1987, the celebrated Piešťany Brawl. Where were you? I was in my apartment in Toronto watching on TV. Murray Costello, the head of the CAHA, was at home watching on TV. Bert Templeton was behind the bench. Theron Fleury was on the ice. The lights went out, and the brawl, she was on.
It was a type of game that was a funny game.
You know, around second period, they started getting a little chippy.
I was on the ice with Theron Fleury and Everett Sanapas, and you know, like I said, just a fight broke out, and then another fight, and everything erupted pretty quickly.
Eugenie Davidov, who plays now for Florida, was the first guy over the boards, and I always remember that. And I see him today, I sort of smile at it.
I remember being on the bench, and I remember seeing their bench, you know, take off and head on the ice. So then I remember we left.
As I always saw it, they left the bench first, and I was standing there and I saw their two guys leave, so it was not a situation where it was really our fault. We just know enough in our game over here, if something like that happens, that everyone's going to stick together.
Some of the guys left the bench early, figuring, I think, to help out, you know, on the ice and separate things, which caused havoc.
I try to hold back a couple of guys like Richardson, and I think Chris Joseph was another guy. And those guys, Steve Chason was another guy. Those were big guys, and they went over. They went to the support of their teammates, and that was it.
I remember Pat Burns. He was on Don Cherry's show last year, I think, and he had a hold of my sweater, and I ripped it out of his hand as I went over the board. So maybe it would have been better off if he had a grip on me.
When the lights turned out, the refs just basically ran off the ice. You know, they didn't stick around or anything. And
I guess they didn't know how to handle it, so they turned the lights out to calm things down. And I don't think it calmed things down very much. There were still fights going on after the lights came back on.
After the brawl, when we were getting dressed and we found out that we were out of the tournament, we had to leave the country. When I saw the troops that they had sent in, and they had the machine guns and dogs and everything, then that was a little bit scary then.
And basically, the Russian team was completely out of medal contention, and whether it was premeditated or not, I don't know. People would have to look at the film.
They had no chance in the world to win, and I think the only way they could let the Czechs or the Swedes win was to eliminate Canada, and that was the easiest way.
Taught everybody that you know how important discipline is, and you know how to play under control, but still play with that Canadian emotion.
If you had to do it again, I'm sure we would do it again.
This year, with your assists, we can hit our targets and net our goals. The money raised by your United Way stays in your community to help people who need help most.
The United Way, Montreal Canadiens, and all my colleagues would like to thank you for your support.
This year, please give all you can give.
For 3 of the last 4 years, Canada's juniors have been on top of the world. The 1994 World Junior Hockey Championships from the Czech Republic. Live, right through to the final game on Real TV, TSN.
This is Canada's third game of the tournament. This is Canada's first game that we are showing you against Switzerland, and it was Canada falling behind 159 into that game with Patrick Fisher scoring. Canada tied the score midway through the first. The Swiss couldn't corral the loose puck, and Todd Harvey right there on the spot to knock it home. It was 1-1. This is Canada's first game of the tournament on Boxing Day. Later in the first, Canada on the power play, and Nick Stajduhar all kinds of time to drill that one home. Canada led 3-1 after a couple of periods. Mike Pekka gave Canada a 4-1 lead early in the third, picks off the top corner in the two-man advantage. Anson Carter finished up the scoring 1 minute and 43 seconds later, and Canada going on to defeat Switzerland on day one by a score of 5-1. Sweden also defeated Germany 4-1. The Russians with a big second period. They scored 5 goals in the second period to beat the Czech Republic 5-1. Canada's second game the next day against the Germans. Germany took an early 1-0 lead, but Canada evening things up in the power play. Marty Murray setting up Todd Harvey, and no mistake there, 1-1. But Germany regaining the lead at the 18-15 mark. Jamie Storr with the original save, but Stefan Mann was there to knock home the puck. The second period was all Canada, however. They scored a couple of goals in a span of 2:18. This one here by Aaron Gavey of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. That comes on the power play. Canada up 3-2 after 40 minutes. And Canada really taking advantage of German penalties. They scored 2 more power play goals in the third. Martin Gendron converting there from the slot, and Canada goes on to a 5-2 win over Germany. So Canada perfect so far in the tournament, as is Sweden, shutting out Russia 3-0. That was a big loss for Russia. Sweden is leading Finland as we speak by a score of 2-1 in a game being played in Ostrava just down the road. The Czech Republic shutting out Switzerland 6-0 earlier today, and the U.S. defeating Germany 7-2. And we are all set to start this third period with Canada leading 2-0.
Team USA happy to get a win under their belt after tying the Swiss. Bad news for them. Ryan Sittler, who was supposed to be a main man for them, had to go home with a knee injury, probably out 6 to 8 weeks. University of Michigan won't be happy to hear that. Bad news for the Americans, but they bounced back today.
Yeah, devastating for the U.S. You have to think that that game against Switzerland and the poor result was a direct effect of them losing their captain in the first period of that game. Sittler going down injured. That had to demoralize the team a little, I would think.
Would certainly think so. Now, Joe Canale's the coach of this team. Perry Pern, you were in this situation last year. What do you tell that team in the intermission when you've got a 2-0 lead heading into the third?
Well, I think you want to be letting them know that you want to make the safe play always, but you want to keep going at the Russians. You don't want to sit back. Last year, I think that was a secret to our success against them, was we kept coming hard all game.
Canada defeating Russia 9-1 last year. A Russian team that finished in 6th place, the lowest finish ever for a Russian or Soviet team at the World Junior Hockey Championship. So last year, a real black mark in the program, and you know this year's team back to avenge that.
It was a black mark on the program, and the surprise is that the coach of that team, Yuri Moiseev, is back again. You would think in a tournament like this, the World Juniors, where you're absolutely humiliated and disgraced, that the coach would have his head on the chopping block. You know how that might feel, Perry. It's a tough job behind the bench. But there he is back again, and certainly a lot of the players coming into this game, a lot of dissension here, that he's a real yeller, a screamer, and they don't think he's got his act together on the bench, and things don't look a lot better right now for the Russians.
I didn't feel that he did a very good job with last year's team, just from watching practices and watching the way they prepared for games. And certainly if he was coaching in Canada, a second opportunity would be very difficult to come by.
Teams at even strength early in the third period. Canada leading by a score of 2-0. Here's Marty Murray for Canada, and he flips the puck up over the boards and into the Canadian players bench. I'm Paul Romanuk, along with Bob McKenzie and former Canadian national junior team coach Perry Pern, as we get a look at this year's present coach Joe Canale there at the extreme left of your screen. Down in front of him, assistant coach Mike Johnson from the University of New Brunswick, and down at the far end of the bench is Danny Flynn, who is an assistant coach with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds.
He's got the title of assistant coach in Sault Ste. Marie, Danny Flynn does, but with Ted Nolan there, they do a great job together. Danny Flynn, very much a tactician and technical coach.
Suligan off the draw, zipped one through, Storr the save, but gave out a big rebound. Smelnitsky just fired it wide, and Storr will cover it up, and he's given a bump for his troubles as players crowd into the crease.
It's one of the few times all game where the Russians have won the draw and created anything off it. In fact, Canada, I think, has been dominating very much on the face-offs.
And Jamie Storr hasn't been nearly as busy as Ryabchikov at the other end, but been very efficient. There's been very few times that he hasn't looked as though he's in control. There's an opportunity there where the rebound came back out. But he follows the puck around very well, and there's some traffic down there. He gets down, as so many NHL goaltenders do now, covering the whole bottom of the net, just challenging you to try and put it upstairs.
Dubé tapping it off the boards for Allison. Canada leading 2-0. Its third game here at the 1994 World Junior Hockey Championship in the Czech Republic. And the puck up over the boards and out of play once again, and we get another stoppage. Perry, last year when your team beat the Russians 9-1, at any point did it almost become laughable, because you would never expect to dominate a Russian team like that in any international tournament, I don't think.
No, I don't think it ever became laughable, but I think certainly that was an inspirational game for us in terms of the tournament. I think it gave our entire team a big lift, and I think it's from that moment on we believed that we could win the gold medal.
Jamie Allison there, Canadian Hockey League Player of the Month in November, plays for the London Knights in the OHL. Allison off the draw, picks up the puck in the corner. Allison looking for Gerard in front, gives to Dubé instead. Dubé shoots! Ryabchikov got enough of it. Puck fired back into the corner, Dubé after it again. Dubé has really sniped a couple of hot shots on goal in this game, really testing Ryabchikov. Bure back in, fires one wide. This is Valerie Bure up there with Harlamov, trying to get it out in front, knocked away. Tully clears it out. Dubé up to the line with Allison and Gerard. Dubé leaves there now. Allison cutting in. Gerard's there too. Tully with a shot. Big crowd down in front of Ryabchikov, and the puck is cleared out. Sushinsky up after it for the Russians. McCabe gets there first for Canada. And the puck cleared up over the glass and in amongst the spectators. We played 1:57 of this third period. Canada up by a score of 2-0.
Joe Canelli's got to be encouraged at this point. He's getting a lot stronger effort from his second and third, and to a lesser extent the fourth lines. Yannick Dubé working with Rick Gerard and Jason Allison have generated a lot of sustained offensive pressure. That hasn't always been the case in the first two games, when it was really a case of Gavey, Carter, and Harvey doing most of the damage.
Yannick Dubé having just a great first half. He plays for Laval in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. That follows an appearance in the Memorial Cup last year, and he is the highest rated prospect in the Quebec League right now. Do you expect he'll go in the first round, Bob?
Hard to say. He's a small guy, and we know how the NHL sometimes frowns on the smaller players. So this will be a great testing ground for him to try and raise his stock.
Svetkov, the Russian captain, gets it off the boards down into Canadian territory, and icing is called on Russia. Canada leads by a score of 2-0. You're watching the World Junior Hockey Championship.
Experience the thrill of the chase as Sony's one-gun picture tube in breathtaking clarity lets you catch all the action. Sony Trinitron, the straightaway leader.
Get ready to crank up the heat. Get into the fast lane and out to the world's hottest races, fastest tracks and grueling off-roads. Crank it up with Rolling Thunder Night, Wednesday on Real TV, TSN.
Kondrashkin leading the rush for the Russians. Breland is up there as well. Suligan just floating one in. Jamie Storr will grab it and hang on.
Well, Paul, you talked about the draft coming up and where Yannick Dubé may go. I wonder where Jamie Storr will go. He's considered at this point to be the type of impact goalie, a franchise-type goalie. Guys like Tom Barrasso, Grant Fuhr, the scouts are putting him in that kind of class, and absolutely certainly they'll go in the first round, but just a matter of how high. There have been suggestions that maybe this guy would be worth taking in the top 5 or 6 overall. He's that good.
Continues this kind of performance in the tournament, it's certainly going to up his stock.
Smelnitsky, number 16 for the Russians, getting it back for Suligan. Suligan, number 5. already been drafted into the NHL by Anaheim. And he played in this tournament last year. Smelnitsky down along the boards. Teams at even strength. Russians controlling the play in the Canadian zone for the time being. Suligan shoots. That's knocked away by Storm. Saw it all the way and just knocked it aside with the block. Boderill gets the puck out. Fired right back in by Stachenkov. Pardon me, Stachenkov. Puck up the middle. Boderill getting it to Gendron. Shoots just wide. He was right up there in the front seat and just kind of ran out of room as he got in a little bit too tight to make the play.
Again, Canadians going hard to the net creates the penalty. There's a hooking penalty here as Gendron jumped through the middle. And I think he would have scored the goal if the Russian defenseman hadn't got the hook on him here.
Smelnitsky gets his stick right up around the leg and pads of Gendron, throws him off balance. Gendron, who scored 72 goals in the Quebec League, came over from the Canadian Olympic team where he spent the better part of this season.
On last year's team, he played with a bunch of different line mates. Jason Daw, Alexander Daig, Rob Niedermeyer, Jeff Bess. You sort of used him as a utility player, Perry?
Well, we juggled our lines a little bit last year, and we tried to make sure that we got everybody involved in the game, and that one of the ways we could do that was matching up against different teams with different lineups.
Pekka trying to move it in along the boards. Canada on the power play. And if indeed the door is still open, a crack in this one for the Russian team, the chance right here to nail it shut. Here's Harvey. Podligayev. Pekka up off the boards. Gavey taps it up ahead. Harvey weaves in over the line. He's got Gerard with him. Here's Gerard. Centers it in front. Knocked away. Loose at the side. Tapped down to the corner now. Here's Gavey for Canada. Back to Pekka. That was a lively one. He couldn't keep it in. Fabriaco down after it. Down into the corner. Just trying to eat up some time. Russians shorthanded. 1:13 still to go on the power play for Canada. We've played just over 4 minutes of this third period. Canada leading 2-0. Gavey up to the line with Gendron. Allison up there too. Here's Gavey. Gendron parked back of the net, but the puck pulled away. And trying to work in. Fabriaco, puck knocked away from him. Breland up there. Number 13 circling around for the Russians in front of the Canadian net. Bannister. Wheels it around the boards. Breland tried to knock it down. Here's Dubé. Breland with a swipe at it. Suligan. Can't clear. Great work by Dubé to keep it in. He's got Gendron parked in front. Dubé waiting. Goes down low and breaks for the front of the net. Canada really controlling it. Allison gets it in. Gendron's there in front. Couple of taps at it. Dubé dancing around back of the goal. Gets it to Allison. Bannister breaks in. Puck in front. Allison shoots. Loose puck in front. They score! Jamie Allison finally knocked it in. Power play goal for Canada. And it's 3-0.
Allison is such a physical presence in front of the net. The big Washington Capital first rounder. He's got great touch, great size. He's like Dave Andrechuk out there, and he's just the immovable force. That puck comes loose, and he just backhands it up over top. Rabchikov.
I was a bit concerned with the Canadian power play here because they were working it low, and it was really 3 Canadians against 4 Russians, but they managed to out-battle them in front of the net here and score this goal.
A power play goal for Canada. Pekka works it up, that's tapped away at the line. Smelnitsky starts back for the Russians. In over the line. Suligan was with him. He just flicks it in off the boards. Sherevyanov tried to knock it loose down in the corner. Here's Curtis Bowen for Canada. Pass was behind Convery. Suligan clears it right back in. Here's McCabe. Bowen tried to get it up to Pekka. Suligan being watched by Convery. Pekka now. Suligan. This is McCabe. Up to the line. Pekka tacks it in. He's got Convery trailing. Pekka along the boards. Zavarukin trying to tie him up. Bowen wraps it around behind the net. And Canada seizing the opportunity to make a couple of player changes. Jason Allison, the goal scorer, comes over the boards and back onto the ice, but he's not in the play at this particular time. Sushinsky up there trying to get it in front. Storr leaves it there for Tully. Up off the boards. Gerard tapping at it. Dubé trying to kick it into gear and break down the left side. Knocked away from him. Bure in over the blue line. Trying to get loose. Bure along the boards. Faberico trying to get it out in front. Number 12 battling away back there. And the puck finally poked up to Gerard, who turns it on. Drops it there for Allison. Delayed offside, and Allison didn't even bother touching it. Play finally called. Canada leading 3-0.
Spicy, crispy, curly, thrilling. McCain Super Spirals. We love what you've done to our fries. You've spiced them up, curled them up, and turned them all around.
McCain has taken its famous super fries, dipped them in light-tasting batter, and surrounded them with bite after bite of spicy, crispy satisfaction.
You've spiced them up, curled them up, and turned them all around. McCain Super Spirals. Whoa! We love what you've done to our fries.
Jason Allison, Anson Carter, and Todd Harvey, the goal scorers for Canada. Canada with a 3-0 lead. We played 7:25 of the third period. Game number 3 for both Canada and Russia here at the 1994 World Junior Championship. Here comes Harlamov. Drops it back. Freeland trying to land a shot on goal. Takes the scenic route around. Back out towards the line. Tervedowski with a shot. That's knocked away. And Tervedowski couldn't keep it in. Svetsov back to pick it up. Up at center. Kondrashkin in over the blue line. Top of the slot, a weak shot in towards the goal. Storr steering that to the corner. And the puck pops up over the glass, and we get another stoppage. Drew Bannister, veteran defenseman with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. What a career he's had. 3 years in the OHL, 3 appearances in the Memorial Cup.
And on 2 occasions, back-to-back years, the all-star defenseman in the Memorial Cup, and he gets a rough ride there. See Harlamov give a bit of a spear there to Drew Bannister. Tough shift for him. But overall, he'll take it. Right now, a 3-0 lead, and Canada firmly in control.
And Canada called for icing as puck just cleared down the ice.
Canada's now scored 13 goals in the tournament. 8 of them have come on the power play.
There's an animated coach. Unlike Perry Byrne back at the bench.
No, he's a very theatrical guy, this Yuri Moiseev is. Pacing the bench in front. Very often going down, admonishing his players face to face. A lot of yelling and screaming and gesticulating.
Now, Perry, do you as a coach make an effort to be stoic back at the bench, or is it just you're concentrating so hard that there's no time to be emotional?
I think you have to be stoic. In this tournament, you preach control, you preach discipline, and if the coach isn't showing that discipline, you can't expect the players to.
Canada leading 3-0. Sheriff Yanov trying to come in over the blue line, thwarted in that attempt. Zavarukin down low. Sheriff Yanov up there with him. Zavarukin back to Suligan. Gets it across. And Shilakin firing a puck in that's knocked away. Chendrov. Botterill all by himself. Reinforcements come over the bench and up to join him. Botterill tucks it in front. That stopped. Rebound in front. Puck pushed into the corner. Botterill with a nice effort there. Battled his way up, and Canada was changing up the lines as soon as the reinforcements came in. Botterill tucking it in front and generating a good scoring chance. Faberico coming back up now for the Russians. He is jolted along the boards. McCabe lined him up. And the puck again cleared down the ice, and Canada called for icing.
Well, a good scoring opportunity for big Jason Botterill coming out from behind the net on a wraparound. Came out of nowhere there, and this year he's come out of nowhere really as far as the NHL entry draft is concerned. A big, strong guy, maybe not as quick a foot as some might like for international hockey, but a good job, great anticipation. He's having a great year with the University of Michigan. When I saw him in Kitchener at the evaluation camp, I thought, you know, I don't know if he's got the speed to be able to translate to play the international game, but he has not looked out of place at all today. He's done a tremendous job.
Well, there the defenseman couldn't physically handle him, and that's how he jumped behind the net and got that scoring chance.
Jason Allison moves the puck up around the boards. Puck bouncing past Barbarico. Allison up after it. Fishing at it up there with Dubé. Here's Allison. Great job to keep it in. Girard just fired it wide. Allison up there. Dubé shoots. And that one bounces into the glove of Ryabchikov. And once again, Allison and Dubé working oh so well together, and throw in Rick Girard, and you have a pretty potent threesome. We'll see how they and the rest of the Canadian team fare tomorrow against Finland. 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 o'clock in the morning Pacific Time, as TSN's exclusive coverage of the World Junior Hockey Championship continues.
Well, Rick Girard's such a crafty player, and the seam just opened up for him coming in. But again, the goaltender Ryabchikov shows good mobility there, follows the play very well, and stayed up on his feet. A lot of goaltenders in that case would have gone right down. He stayed up, deflected the puck out of play.
Here's Tully off the draw, shoots. Gavey was parked there in front to try to tip it. Gavey back of the net, and the puck getting caught up momentarily. Turvedowski trying to knock it loose. Anson Carter up there throwing his weight around, but Turvedowski comes out for the Russians. Gathering speed, he hits the line. Freeland is with him, breaking towards the net. So's Harlamov. Puck knocked away. Harlamov after it along the boards. Svetsov moving in from the blue line, trying to keep the pressure on. The Russians need some offense, and they need it fast. We played 10:22 of the third period. Canada leading by a score of 3-0.
Tired of getting gifts you can't use? Stock up on holiday packs of Pepsi products and save over $100 on stuff you can. Have fun, be merry, party with Pepsi.
We've just passed the halfway point of this third period, and you notice another distinct feature of European hockey: the clock ticks upwards instead of downwards. And downwards is where Vadim Sherevyanov ended up in that scoring chance. Canada back the other way. Shikalin to Suligan. Savarukin up to the line. Shoots. That one was tipped, went off the Canadian defenseman and wobbled wide. And the puck cleared back down the ice. And Canada again called for icing. So far, so good for Coach Joe Canale and company. Very controlled game, very effective in their game plan so far.
Well, Canada doing a very good job of shutting down what attack the Russians have, which hasn't been very much. I've got my handy-dandy calculator out right now. And as of right now, we're looking at 134 minutes of scoreless hockey for a Russian hockey team. And I don't know if they keep records on things like that, but better than 2 games, almost 2.5 games, the Russians haven't scored a goal.
They've played 9 periods in the tournament so far, and they've only scored goals in 1 period.
And once again, a chance for Canada. Allison and Girard. Allison with a shot. That's knocked down. Great speed at the line. Rick Girard was right there to capitalize when Stashenkov fell. Stashenkov with the puck again. He will clear it in. Girard and Allison have worked so well together, and Dubé as well. Great combination.
Line's really taken off today, and that's got to be heartening for Joe Canale, not just for this game, but what could mean the rest of the way.
Sergei Breland drops it back. Puck fired towards the net, knocked down. Svetkov with a shot, and no problem for Jamie Storr.
Well, the Russians have certainly seen some great goaltending here in the last 2 games. Either that or they've got to be questioning their ability to generate some offense.
A real heads-up play here by Rick Girard. Pulls the man right over and out to Jason Allison, who's just got tremendous hands. And doesn't he look a lot like Dave Andrechuk when he goes to the net? Same size, same style. Right-hand shot. Puck just doesn't get through.
Here's Carter. Slowly to center, bouncing it in. Harvey up there looking for it. Harvey scored for Canada back in the first period on a 2-man advantage. And his line mate Anson Carter also with a goal for Canada. Kondrashkin in around back of the net, and that one finds its way in. Sergei Kondrashkin breaking up towards the goal, and curious to see whether or not that went in off of Jamie Storr.
Well, the drought ends for the Russians on a big rush here. And Kondrashkin really pays the price behind the net. He just gets flattened as he comes around. You see him strong on the puck and throw it out. That looked like it went off of Jamie Storr's stick, perhaps. And a good job here, being very strong on the puck. And there's the big hit. And the puck in the net off of Jamie Storr's stick.
Storr came across there and was down on one knee, and I don't think he got his skate to the post. The puck hit his stick and bounces in.
Kondrashkin, a New York Rangers draft pick. He was picked up last year, 162nd overall. Is still playing in Russia, but paid the price and looked pretty good doing it there. It's 3-1, and Russia can score in bunches. We've seen that so many times in international play. Sheriff Yanov trying to knock it loose. Smelitsky is up there as well. Suligan pinching up. He's knocked to the ice, and Canada will break back. This is Mike Pekka. Pekka shoots a rocket just wide. And that smokes around the boards and all the way back down the ice. Bouchard for Canada. To Bannister. Drew Bannister up to Jason Allison. Severukin gets it across. Sushinsky going after it. Losing his balance, but not the puck, and he regains both. Trying to bulldoze his way towards the front of the net. Bowen knocks it away and clears it down the ice, and once again Canada called for icing. Great chance by Mike Pekka. He really teed it up as he stepped up in over the line, heading down in towards Russian goaltender Yevgeny Ryabchikov.
Part of what creates this chance is there's a Canadian going wide and hard to the net, so the defenseman has to stay in the middle. Pekka just grazes the goalpost.
Teams at even strength. We've played 13 minutes and 29 seconds in the third period. Canada leading 3-1. A goal in the first, a goal in the second, another one here in the third, and the Russians finally getting on the board moments ago. Sergei Kondrashkin scoring for the Russians. And a penalty coming up against Canada. Valerie Bure dancing his way around in the slot, drawing the penalty.
What's in the bag? Lunch. Quarter pound of cheese, fries. Kick you for it. First one that misses. I know. Watches the winner eat. Barefoot, helmet on backwards, split the uprights. Through the tunnel, hook it, off the stone guy, split the uprights.
These guys are good.
Off the freeway, through the tunnel, off the scoreboard, split the uprights.
Yannick Dubé off for hooking, pulled down Valerie Bure. And Russia on the power play. Carter steals it. Here's Carter, walks in, and he is stolen by Ryabchikov. Big chance, big stop. Here come the Russians back in the power play. And Baba Rico is hammered just as he stepped in over the line. Storr knocks that away. Suligan along the boards. Suligan trying to battle his way loose. Gets it in front of the net. Sushinsky was alone, but Couldn't cradle it onto his stick with his skate. Bure along the boards. Sushinsky still loose in front. And finally the puck knocked away and cleared down the ice.
Canadians are running all over the ice, but a great play by Brent Tully to slide and block a shot after the other defenseman committed himself, rushing out to the point.
And how about the chance by Carter seconds ago? Here comes Bure. Bure up there with Breland. Bure still looking. Finally centering. Back towards the line. Shekalin with a rough time trying to keep it in. Puck knocked away by Harvey. And Harvey almost had a chance. He and Gavey working up there well in the penalty killing situation. Breland with 28 seconds to go in the power play for Russia. Canada leading 3-1. Svetkov clears it in. Puck bouncing back in the net. Bannister batting it off the boards. A wicked bounce back to Bannister. And this time he makes sure. Turbidovsky moves it up. Svetkov in over the line. Svetkov battling his way along the boards. Breland is up there to join in the chase. Broken up. Carter coming back down with Girard. This is Girard with the puck. Tried to get it through in front there to Carter, but he had his progress impeded somewhat by Kondrashkin. Teams are back at even strength. Canada leading 3-1. So Canada holds the fort on that Russian power play. This is Dubé up to Combery, exploding down the wing, tried to get it in front, and Ryabchikov will hang on to it.
Right now, Ryabchikov is keeping this Russian team in the game. They've got some momentum going. That goal has given them a big boost. And on that power play, when Canada had a great shorthanded opportunity, it was Ryabchikov who prevented Anson Carter from salting this game away with just 5 minutes left. Now down to 4 minutes. You see the stumble there by the Russian defenseman. Anson Carter comes in, tries to go to the glove side. A great job by Ryabchikov and a good shift for Anson Carter. Really threw his weight around.
I thought Carter made a great play coming back to make the hit here. And then maybe more important was a great save by Jamie Storr coming off the great save that the Russian goalie had made on Carter down at the other end.
Stajduhar shoots it through, lots of traffic, and the puck not able to negotiate its way through on goal. Pekka trying to tap it in. Big win for Sweden, literally and figuratively. 6-2 over their Nordic rivals. And Sweden very much a team to beat as well as Canada. Canada will maintain pace with the Swedes if they hang on and win this game. Severukin shoots one through off the glass, bouncing loose there at the side. Smelnitsky trying to get loose. Smelnitsky bumped along the boards. Tuligan pinching up, not able to keep it in. Sharadyanov almost made it all the way. Tuligan with a shot wide. Smelnitsky trying to barge his way in front. He's hauled down. Looking at the referee, appealing for the penalty, but play just continues. Pekka clearing it down into Russian territory. Less than 3 minutes to go. Canada leading 3-1 with a chance to go to 3-0 if they can win this game. Babariko back for the Russians, hits the line, just slipped the check. Return pass in front, and Babariko couldn't knock it down. Sushinsky working well with him there. Bure battling it along the boards, and play is called, and a penalty coming up against Canada. Looks as though Brent Tully is going to go off, either for boarding or hitting from behind.
Babariko had his back turned, and Tully came in and just pounded him up against the boards. The worst possible timing as far as Canada's concerned. There's 2 minutes and 25 seconds left in this game. Tully going off, down by 2 goals. The Russian power play gets an opportunity to kick back in again. So one of the changes that the Russians have made in the latter part of this game is Valerie Bure being taken off the top line and put on this line with Babariko. And you see Babariko in a very vulnerable position with his head down. It is a classic hit from behind or a board. No question about it.
I think one of the things that's happened here in the last 10 minutes is that the Canadians have played a little bit too emotionally. They've run, rather than wait for the play to come to them and make the check when that happens, they've been running looking for the check. There's a situation just before the hit in the corner where a Canadian put himself out of position by running at a Russian. I think here they got to just stay in control, and the game is going to be theirs.
It is a boarding call on Brett Tully, by the way. 2-minute penalty with 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go. And the Russians with an empty net. So in effect, they have a two-man advantage. Pulling out all the stops. Suligan trying to keep it in. Turbidowski with a shot just wide. Russia with an empty net, so a two-man advantage. Working in the power play. Scores! Harlamov!
Not very often you'll see the Russians pull their goaltender. Not something they practice an awful lot of, but they do there, and they capitalize on the power play. Alexander Harlamov off to the side of the net. Good puck movement. And Harlamov finishes it off.
One of the things that happens here on the Canadian penalty kill is they're very aggressive. And both defensemen got out of position here looking to press the puck on the far side of the ice there. And that left Harlamov open on the back door, and they found him, and a great goal for the Russians.
And Turbidowski with a nice job to clear the puck in towards the net, just teeing it up for the tip. And Harlamov gets the goal. It's 3-2. Turbidowski fires it back in for the Russians. And offside is called.
The clock's continuing to run right now. In fact, the clock just ran for a good 3 seconds after the whistle went. The clock was at 17:56, indicating there was 2 minutes and 4 seconds remaining. It's now run up to 58. Good 2 or 3 seconds went off the clock there.
Well, it doesn't look as though the Russian bench is saying anything. Certainly the Canadian one isn't. And play starts, and they held the clock for a couple of seconds before they started it. So the referee caught it. Freeland with a shot, score, kick that away. It is 3-2. Russia pressing to tie it up. Dying seconds of this game. Under 2 minutes to go. Suligan works it up. Sherevyanov in over the blue line, trying to wrestle his way around Witt. Down into the corner. Tully knocked to the ice. Puck loose at the side. Here's Freeland. Big stop by Storr. He robbed Freeland. Point blank. There's Dubé flying up there. Up there with Gavey. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. Canada leading 3-2, but the Russians are coming. Here comes Freeland. Up to the line. Ahead to Bure. Down into the corner. Tried to center it in front. That's snapped away by Bouchard. Puck rolling up around the boards. Puck kept in. Score! Maxim Sushinsky ties it up with 55 seconds to go.
What a comeback by the Russians. Inability by Canada to clear the zone. The puck came around the dasher board, and it stayed up on the dasher. Team Canada could not get it out. I believe it was Aaron Gavey, number 22, couldn't get that puck out off the boards. And you'll see the shot, not a particularly hard one, almost misplayed by Jamie Storr. And this game has collapsed down around the Canadians in a big way as Canada calls a timeout.
Jamie Storr's down early on that goal, and it hits the inside of his pad and of course goes through the 5-hole. But the key on the play is not being able to clear the zone. And we had two Canadian forwards jumping past Aaron Gavey on the play. And in that situation, I think the key is the support on the defensive side. You had enough goals to win the game. You got to make sure you make the best defensive play. And there, the Canadians were thinking offense jumped ahead of the play, and it cost them.
And this really takes me back to the 1992 World Junior Tournament in Kusen, Germany. Canada was playing Sweden in a critical game. Things have been going relatively well for Canada up to that point. Sweden tied it in the dying seconds, and Canada never did get it back on track after that.
Well, that certainly is something that the Canadians may have to look back on here after tonight's game is over if it stays a tie. And I think the focus there is it has to stay a positive focus, being that the tie is not going to hurt them here if they continue to win in the tournament.
At the line, Freeland keeps it in, shoots it in towards the net, just high and wide. And time ticking up. Less than 30 seconds to go. Bannister moving in towards the front of the net from the point. They couldn't get the puck in front. Harvey up there throwing his weight around. Bannister couldn't keep it in. Here comes Freeland. Big chance here. Shoots. Scores. Stopped him. Freeland with a glorious chance, and Storr with a big stop. 10 seconds to go. Sullivan just taps it up, and this one will end a tie. Canada a heartbeat away from losing there in the dying seconds as Freeland exploded down the wing. Nice stop by Jamie Storr. Oh.
It'll be very interesting to see how the Canadian coaching staff puts a positive spin on this one, which they're going to have to do for the balance of this tournament. This doesn't eliminate Canada. This doesn't take them out of medal contention, not even gold medal contention. But what it does do is maybe take away a little bit margin for error. Every time you give up a point in this tournament, you hurt yourself just a little bit. You add up and you get a number of those and you're in big trouble. But they've got to try to get back on track, and just a dynamic comeback by a very gutty Russian team.
Well, certainly it was a great third period for them, and I think Canada sat back a little bit after they scored their third goal, and that certainly hurt them.
Sergei Brylin, New Jersey Devil draft pick, is named as player of the game for the Russians, and he had a strong game. Really picked it up in the third period.
Well, they almost won the game with about 10 seconds to go as he broke down the left wing. Jamie Storr with a nice stop. And the player of the game for Canada, Yannick Dubé. He had a tremendous game. Dubé working in line with Rick Girard and Jason Allison were a real force for Canada all night. So Sweden is now in sole possession of first place. Sweden winning their game and Canada tying. Sweden pummeling Finland in a game also played tonight by a score of 6-2. You can see some of the Canadian players throwing frisbees up to the fans. That's a tradition they started last year. So is the glass half full or half empty? You decide. Canada in a great game against Russia. 3-3 the final score. You're watching the 1994 World Junior Hockey Championship on TSN.
The problem with using your local phone company for